up, everybody? Malik here, and it is day 2 of the final week of Stage 2 here at the Overwatch League, and we got title match implications all over the place. Later on today, we have the NYXF, who are going to be playing to clinch a spot in this weekend's title matches. All they need is a W. And then, our first match of the day, we have the Houston Outlaws going up against the Seoul Dynasty. And this is a big match right here, because the Seoul Dynasty need to win out all their matches this week in order to punch their ticket to the title matches this weekend. In Houston, they get a chance to play spoiler and deny them that opportunity. And I don't know if you guys remember the last match, but it went 5 maps, so anything could happen. My friends here at the Blizzard Arena, they're quite amped today. Give it up, guys. They're awesome. And the boys in the back, they're ready to play, so why don't we go ahead and get this day popping off.
Blizzard Arena, make some noise. We're back, and it's the second day, final week here of Stage 2, and the stakes only get higher from here. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Puckett, and we got the whole crew. It's the roommates, Bren and Sideshow, alongside Zoe once again.
Yeah, the Oxford comma there, important to not suggest that Zoe actually lives with us.
Yeah, I do not.
Johnny.
I will never, and
that would be horrific.
Great. No, that would be horrible.
She's
for
seen the
everyone
videos.
involved.
All right, move on.
Sideshow, we do have to follow up on something. You've been living in Philadelphia's treehouse.
No
They
more.
finally kicked you out of the house. What is life like living in an apartment again?
It's absolutely beautiful, but I am slightly concerned because I thought I was the lucky charm, the reason that the Philadelphia Fusion were winning, but actually they're a good team or something. They were able to win yesterday without
How
me.
odd.
I don't know what that's about. I
Very
don't know.
strange.
I love it. There's a Nerf Sideshow sign out there in the audience. We have an awesome crowd here today, and we got a lot to talk about. Let's start here with the standings for the league. Now remember, it's all about your 40 matches across the overall standings. You got the big names in a big lead, but keep your eyes on the Outlaws. They're kind of the gatekeeper into the top half. We got Boston and Gladiators right behind them. In Stage 2, though, that's where all of our focus is going to be today. Because if you finish in the top 3, you're playing for serious money on Sunday.
Oh yeah, you're going to be Gucci if you're up there, aren't you? Playing the playoffs this weekend is going to be nice and tasty, but it's very contested still, realistically, between these teams. And honestly, it's anyone's game when it comes to those matches.
Yeah, the 2 and 3 there between London Spitfire and Seoul Dynasty. Really important that they lock up both of their games this week. Otherwise, the Philadelphia Fusion or the Gladiators can sneak in.
New York can lock up their spot in the title matches with a win over the Dallas Fuel, but Dynasty needs both of their series, and they have a tough one to open up the day. They're going up against the Houston Outlaws, who have been all over the map. We've seen them at the top, taking out London to open up the stage. Then we've seen them go on a bit of a losing streak, but always a challenger. And as Malik said in the intro, the first time these two teams matched up, when it was Houston versus Seoul in Stage 1, we went to Game 5, and that was without the star player Linkser. He was out there in that series.
Yeah, that was an incredibly strong performance from Houston Outlaws because Clockwork had to fill his shoes. Clockwork had a great performance, but the Houston Outlaws style was all this anti-dive in Stage 1. Jake over on the Junkrat for the majority of it, but they had times where they could go over to the Widow as well. Times have changed, though. Coming into Stage 2, their comfort picks are no longer with them.
Eloquently put there, Sideshow. Times do change, and you are right, the comfort picks are gone now. We're in a different meta game. It's not Stage 1 anymore. There's no more Mercy, no more J-Krat, so he's not going to be able to fling those ping-pong balls all over the place and get those kills like they used to with that anti-dive style. That's where the difficulties lie here for Houston. Now they need to learn to adapt, play a little more close to the meta game that we're seeing from everyone else.
Seoul's been looking like a juggernaut now. So I know you got a chance to talk with the Outlaws. How do they feel about the matchup this time around in Stage 2?
Well, I talked to their GM Flame and asked him, have you spotted any weaknesses, any cracks in the armor of the Seoul Dynasty? He stared at me and said, no. No, we in fact haven't. They actually played this stage. They played perfectly on every single role. So I think they are well aware that this is going to be a tough nut to crack.
Tough nut to crack. Well,
Yeah.
it seemed London was able to crack that nut. They walked away with the 4-0 over Seoul. So when you look at Seoul right now, they're number 3 in our Stage 2 standings. They're in the top 3 for the overall standings. Where do you guys personally rank them right now compared to squads like London and New York?
So I think I'm in the minority here, but I actually think Seoul Dynasty are probably the #1 squad at the moment. That's not a joke. Like, I genuinely believe, like, you're giggling at yourself right now.
They got 4-0'd, Brent.
They
got blown out.
I may have predicted them to lose the other day, but ignore that fact. I do actually consider this team to be the strongest in the league right now for a variety of reasons, right? They've got the strongest squad. They've got a lot of history behind them, a lot of experience, right? These are guys that know how to play the game, and they're in it for the long con, not for these short-term games. That's the best thing about Seoul, right? The adaptations as it goes along. Great coaching staff behind them as well. Munchkin, though, that's another guy I want to be looking at because he is a player to really look out for. This guy, he plays the Tracer, plays the Roadhog, honestly, to a ridiculous level. I was super impressed with his performance. Even against London when they did lose, he was the real standout man for me.
I'll definitely give it to you that Munchkin has improved because he was lackluster during stage 1, and this does seem to be a better meta for him. But Seoul Dynasty overall, we've seen that when they go up against the other top teams, they have a style that's able to be exploited a little bit. And so when I'm thinking about this match, when they come up against Houston, they can take a couple of cues, as you were saying, Puckett, from that game where they got blown out against London, and try and put a lot of pressure on the tanks early on, make them give up a bit of room. London's dives were also excellent, all about these big plays between the Winston and the Tracer for me to really apply pressure to Seoul.
Seoul was so dominant before they ran into New York and London last week. How do they view their opponent today, Zoe?
You know, it was kind of a running gag in stage 1 that Seoul kept on mentioning Jake and kept on mentioning the Houston Outlaws being like that one big threat. And towards the end of stage 1, Houston Outlaws proved to be just that. Now, I met Cookie in the makeup room this morning. I was like, hey, Cookie, so have your views changed in stage 2? What do you think about the Houston Outlaws? And he looked around, making sure that no outlaw is close by. Then he giggled, like, I would consider that
yeah,
girlish
confident,
giggle. Actually,
confident.
no, it was I said girly, but let's go with confident. That's a better word. He had a confident giggle and said, no, it's gladiators this time. It's gladiators and fusion. So,
ooh,
yeah.
Respectful.
All right.
I can respect that opinion.
A respectful giggle and opinion too.
They're expecting the victory today.
Yes,
and you know the maps matter. Seoul trying to get the 4-0. It's not going to be easy. Houston looking to play spoiler. Remember, this is not a sure thing. The Dynasty have to win this match, and they have to do it convincingly. Are you guys ready to get this started? It's time. Will Seoul be going to the playoffs? They got to get through the Outlaws. The match starts right now.
The avalanche of white comes in for the Houston Outlaws.
And that's a pretty epic start for Seoul Dynasty right there.
There we go, style points for Linkser.
It's going to be a barrage for Fleta. Look at all the resources being dedicated to keeping Jake alive, and it's working! Oh, it's working! So Toby comes in for the finishing blow. This is so gross, Houston! You can't do that! That was really the perfect storm for Seoul Dynasty.
Let's make some noise and show some love for your Houston Outlaws. Every single time this crowd erupts. So many fan favorites on this lineup. They're 11-8 overall, 4-5 in stage 2. It's their last match here in stage 2. And you know they want to end it with a big victory over the Dynasty.
They certainly want to. And you know what? Despite coming into this game as the underdog, they are excited for this very game today. They say that Seoul is looking to be on a downward spiral, whereas the Outlaws just ended theirs last night against the Shanghai Dragons. And Flame, their GM, actually mentioned that their recent performance of the Florida Mayhem has been a big inspiration and motivation for the Houston Outlaws, seeing how they managed to bounce back and keeping their morale high.
I like it, Cousin It playing for the Outlaws today.
Yeah, Rox will have to keep the hair out of his eyes if he wants to be able to perform today. But this is the guy that I'm looking out for. Muma, for me, is been the star player throughout stage 2. And we were talking a bit about the Seoul backline and how much that got exploited against London. If they need a man to step up to the plate, I think it's going to be Muma.
Yeah, absolutely. But important to note here as well, we're going to be seeing Jake in the starting lineup. It's a bit of a rarity. Don't see it often from Houston Outlaws. Instead of Clockwork, going to be running him most likely on that Tracer role. Could be surprising us to something else, but I doubt it here today.
I love just feeling the crowd couldn't decide who was more popular between Muma, Linkser, and Jake. All three are going to be crucial for the Outlaws' victory today. But it's time to introduce their opponent. On the right side of the stage, let's hear it for the Seoul Dynasty. 13-5 in the overall record, but they missed out on the Stage 1 playoffs. They slipped up in the final moments. This time around, looking to end with a perfect Week 5. They're 6-2 currently in the stage. Will they get their 7th win today?
I heard certainly expected almost with this squad, you know, but I'm looking at these faces that are lining up right now at these PCs, and this is not the squad we're used to. This is a completely different squad than what they normally run.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people would now assume like, hey, they're trying to hide strats. What I actually think is the case here, they want to have the rest of their team prepared and NYXL potential.
I also think that there may be a strategic element to this. We've seen Miro go in pretty aggressive, and when you have a passive team you're playing into, like Houston, if Miro takes a lot of damage and has to back off, that's going to put Soul in a really bad space. So I think they're putting in Kuki, they're putting in Wicked, two of their more safe, controlling players, and they'll be looking to zone out Houston rather than just go balls to the wall aggressive in this match.
I've missed Kuki so much, man. Great interviewee, also just a fun personality to watch on this stage. He's got big shoes to fill, though. No Miro means Kuki's got to play that Winston perfectly going up against Muma. That's a look at our two lineups. It's time to get this match started. Los Angeles, are you guys ready? Make some noise. It's time to kick off game number 1 and to bring you all the action. We got Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, Puckets. And a very different stage it's been for the Houston Outlaws, Matt. This time, playoffs not an option, but definitely an opportunity to play spoiler here for Seoul.
Yeah, Seoul needs a win, now 2 wins in their final games, and then they'll be in the playoff for the stage. If they were to lose one, that opens the door for the Gladiators, the Philly Fusion to get back into that playoff hunt. You can see the maps that we're going to be playing on today. Like the desk talked about for Houston, you have Jake in map number 1. We usually saw Clockwork in this role. Their last game against Shanghai, Jake played map number 1. You see him again here. Potentially, you can see like a Junkrat from him. Obviously, I know Genji as well. I think you can see, we saw him play, I believe, a little bit of Widowmaker yesterday on King's Row.
Is your first impression of this a swap in the Tracer role, or bring Jake in so we can play some other stuff?
Well, I think what they do is they try and bring him in and play other stuff, and I think they're just trying to have Linkser play Tracer on a lot of these maps, right? Have a solid Tracer game in and game out, somebody you don't have to swap in and out, because your Tracer needs to work well with your Winston, right? When you're changing that Tracer player up, constantly when you're rotating between Clockwork, Linkser, and Jake, you're kind of just making it very hard for Muma to gain any synergy with any of these players. So I think just keeping one player on that Tracer is important.
So it might be Linkser then. A player who said himself that, despite us seeing some good, solid Tracer performances out of him, Linkser said, I've never been a sort of a top Tracer in a team that's performing well. So perhaps, he's still preferring to play a bit of that Widowmaker, that off role.
He can do it. It's just he hasn't really been the one on his teams that's had to do it in the past. Seoul Dynasty, we can see the lineup they're rolling out with. Kuki is in for Miro, so they talked about him being a little bit safer. Same with Wicked on offense. Potentially, Wicked could play something like a Hanzo, a Pharah, so it's a lot of different things Seoul can do with this lineup.
I mean, we've seen him play a bunch of different things. We've even seen him go for the Junkrat a little bit. We definitely saw much more of Wicked in stage 1, where, maps such as Junkertown and Numbani were sort of featured in the pool. So interesting to see him back. Kuki, it's been a few weeks since we saw him. Seoul did play him against the Shanghai Dragon.
You also see Bonnie in for Boink for the Houston Outlaws, so that would tell you probably at some point going to see some Mercy play from them. Also,
Widow, Pocket McCree.
Yeah, Ana on the defense as well. So the big Houston Outlaws on the attack. Bonnie will go and play Mercy here as Jake looks like he's been coming out of the spawn playing Hanzo, so a little bit of a change. Sometimes you see Linkser playing Hanzo. This time it's going to be Jake. Almost connects to the shot there on Wicked.
Yeah, it looks like the Sonic Arrow gave him a bit of intelligence on where Wicked would be, and he hoped that if he dropped in quickly, he'd get a quick pick off on the enemy Genji. Not the case, but a lot of damage being taken by Seoul here. You can see that Jake's not being threatened from this position. Linkser cleans up Kuki as he tries to jump to safety.
And you see how much damage this Hanzo can put down. It gets Kuki very weak as he's trying to jump out. They take out Jaehong as well. 2 picks early from Linkser, but a lot of that is set up by Jake.
And that should be it. Houston now trying to control the point. Munchkin is forced to wrap back around to the rest of his team. It looks like Seoul are giving this one up for lost. There's nothing they could do. 2 picks, and that's enough for the Outlaws to start this match off in style.
And also with the Outlaws having Mercy and Zen, on the opposing side, right, there's that Ana Zen combination. So only has that big sustainable ultimate in the form of a Transcendence. You're going to have Valkyrie in Transcendence for the Houston Outlaws. So a lot of survivability as they move towards the point. You have Jake getting very close to his Dragon Strike. Maybe you fire that one up towards the high ground, force those players down to the point, and then force the attack there.
I mean, it really gives new definition to the term zoning ultimate, Matt. There's nothing you can do but move away from it. You can out-heal it with Transcendence, but that's about it. There's a sleep dart on towards Cool Matt here, so Jake's not going to peek too far out, lest he get taken down in the absence of the defense matrix. For now, Soul wants to engage on the high ground. Links it. This is his opportunity to drop to the low, and he's working together with Muma. Toby's been taken down. Cool Matt got demeched, which should be no surprise, given he was slept and dived upon. The Dragon Strike cuts through to find Kuki here, but the Houston Outlaws are looking a little bit worse for wear. They can get Muma back up. That's a big swing in momentum for them. The Transcendence is being used up on the high ground now, but Linkser and Muma are boots on the ground.
Yeah, Linkser is down there with Muma, just trying to put some damage on the supports. Wakid up on the high ground will take out Jake with his Dragon Blade. Gonna hunt for more. Soul will be able to hold on with this fight. I think potentially Jake switches over to, yep, I was gonna say Soldier 76. You saw the Dragon Strike being used. That moment in time, you think he's gonna go with Soldier. Now we're gonna try and get control of this high ground. To see a nano boost used on a Kuki at the top, that's how they were able to demech Cool Matt. So now that we just kind of take a step back, reset a little bit. Houston ended up using both of their support ults. Same on the side of Soul Dynasty. You do have this Primal Rage self-destruct and a Pulse Bomb here to work with for Houston.
Jake has to be feeling more comfortable on Soldier 76 now, a bit more self-heal, self-healing as well in the form of the Barding Field, so it's going to be tougher for Wakid to disrupt him as he tries to set up on that high ground. Regardless, last time the Outlaws looked a little bit split on their attack. It was sort of split 4 and 2 with Muma and Linkser on the point, like they are now. Soul are going to have to double back from the high ground behind to try and address this issue, but Bunny's been taken down by the Pulse Bomb before he could get that Valkyrie.
Yeah, and it looked like they were going to try and dive deep there. The Houston Outlaws getting to the back line of the supports. Linkser there ends up having no blink, so can't kind of like do that double blink all the way into the back with a Pulse Bomb and then force him over towards Muma. But you did lose a player early, so at that point you're just trying to reset. You're trying to die, get back to the spot.
It feels like Soul are not taking the bait of Muma and Linkser moving straight to the point, and they're going straight for the 4 Outlaws players that sit up on the high ground and try and hold and set Jake up for a big attack visor. Kuki gets nano boosted yet again. He actually got stuck there as well. He's going to be forced to use the primal range now. Looking for a way to get extra value out of this ultimate, and it will be just a bit of disruption on that high ground. We'll need to back up a little bit more now. The initiative has been taken away from Soul.
Yeah, Muma uses his primal rage on the point, just trying to stay alive. That'll be a self-destruct that comes in from Cool Matt. He's being healed up by Bonnie, who's up in the sky using that Valkyrie. It'll be Jake with attack visor who takes out Zumba here. It's going to be that Transcendence from Jaehong, going to force him back. Now Transcendence comes out from Raucous, trying to keep Jake alive.
Jake must survive in this situation. He's used that tactical visor, but there's still more work to be done. 2 ticks on the point already for the Houston Outlaws. It's a slow roll fight, but so far it's going well. This Dragon Blade needs to be the answer for Wakid to try and break them out of this situation. Jake just gets it. He just books it straight down the stairs as Wakid tries to chase him with the Dragon Blade, and the sharp edge is dulled. Rough stuff for Wakid, who can't connect, can't find any purchase on Houston Outlaws, and now Kuki drops onto the point, down to about 10% HP. It's Munchkin now to stand up, forced to recall. Toby, as soon as he walks out of spawn, takes a lot of damage. Orb of Discord now applied, defense matrix being hastily employed to keep Toby alive, but eventually it is exhausted. Now Jake, Bardic Field drop down, Zumba desuited, and Wakid very low HP as he tries to head to the front door. Jaehong picks off Linkser from long range. This could be it. Soul could break this back, and they may have just done so.
Yeah, the thing that ends up hurting Houston in the end is they have no tanks alive by the point. But man, that movement from Jake was fantastic there to avoid that Wakid Dragon Blade. He actually just kind of like hides in that the dark corner to the left, and as soon as Wakid comes in, he just sprints around. We saw yesterday on Balskaya in their match against Shanghai. He was able to just like pull off some sick maneuvers with the 76 to evade.
It's actually becoming a meme. There. It's becoming a meme that Jake is the best at running away on Soldier 76, but you can see how he uses the mobility the Cyber Soldier has to avoid situations like that, still have an impact.
Sometimes the play is not to take the fight. I wish Brett would figure that out.
Yeah, well, good luck with that one, Matt. It's going to be Kuki jumping in, though. Primal Rage, that's going to be forcing the Transcendence out of Raucous now. Kuki finds himself in somewhat more of a compromising situation and does not want to use a Primal Rage yet. He'd hate to have to use it just for survival purposes. So again, that safe element that Kuki brings gets him out of trouble after a significant degree of disruption on the Houston Outlaws setup.
Yeah, no reason to push any further than he needed to. He just goes right back through that middle door, goes back to the rest of his team. A nice biotic grenade there comes in from Toby, connects with a few members there of the Outlaws. Munchkin thought about maybe using that pulse bomb, but Cool Matt's right there with that defense matrix. Probably would have gotten eaten up.
So Houston
playing it slowly and conservatively, but for the most part have been unable to set up with 6 players on that platform that Wakeed's standing on right now. And a part of this reason is that they continue to be disrupted by Sol. Sol are jumping in, getting a pick. Toby setting themselves up beautifully in that previous instance with a biter grenade, meaning that Jake couldn't heal himself or benefit from Banny or Raucus's healing either.
And Houston has to be careful here, Mitch. You know, they do have a ton of ultimates as Muma dies first, but I was going to say, if they start investing these ultimates and you see like a Transcendence and a Blade come out from Seoul Dynasty, they could kind of just wipe the floor with them and then be stuck with nothing. But see a few kills at the beginning, it's, you know, Muma and Lynx are falling. For Houston's gonna force them to just kind of sit here again. It's been a while since Houston's got a really good push.
You can see why the Mercy meta gave us different looking Overwatch, because mistakes like that or early picks could actually be rezzed up comfortably enough, especially behind a Valkyrie, and that Houston would still actually be able to make decent pushes in some of these fights. But now, one positioning error is being punished, and it's enough to lose in the fight now. Pulse Bomb dropped on Mover. He needs to head up to the high ground, get a bit of healing while he has that primal rate, so he doesn't get much displacement value out of that ultimate. Munchkin up to the high ground himself. That was going to be a tactical visor from Jake, but again, line of sight's not great. Great positioning in the D.Va mech. That's so good. From Zumba, puts it right up and forces Jake around the corner. Denies him the use of that ultimate.
And they have to use both support ultimates before Wakeed even uses his Dragon Blade. And now the Blade's going to come in. He's going to get one with it. He does get taken out, but still, it's like a 5-on-3 here in favor of Seoul Dynasty. It's Bonnie or Res Raucus, so you get that second support back up.
You should need 6 players on the point, or at least Jake and a support on the upper platform with the rest of them on the point. Soul have been able to sort of stop the mid-step every single time, and this would be no exception. Kuki gonna jump in now. Primal Rage once again. He's farmed it beautifully. Now he'll back away, but the job is done. Muma's down. He's traded though. A 1-for-1 situation, but Coolmat's mech having been removed and him being down means that Houston have to run at the point with very little to work with. They're gonna be cut down, and they won't go out with a roar. It'll just be the whimper. The Outlaws couldn't set up properly for an attack, and they'll have to be happy with 2 ticks on the last point.
Yeah, they get pretty close to taking the entire thing. We'll have to see exactly.
That's not enough at this level.
83%. No, not enough. I agree. Considering how fast they took point A. I mean, point A, it was over relatively quick, right? I mean, Jake puts a lot of damage into Kuki. They take him out. They take out Jaehong as well. And then there's not any other kills that happen after that. You know, Jake and Lynx are played quite well there in the first half. You know, it's just they were not able to get in position, you know, up on that high ground. When you're playing 76 and Tracer, you need to get that 76 set up. Every time they would try and get up with their attack visor, they would use whether it's like a D.Va defense, a D.Va self-destruct to force them back, or whether it was like a Primal Rage Winston or a Nano boosted Winston to just force him out of position.
At this stage, if you look at the team comp of Houston and you're defending against them as Soul, you know what they're trying to do. You know they're trying to get up on the high ground and use the Soldier 76 to hold position while the rest of the team plays on the point. It's a little predictable in some elements, and now Soul know all we have to do is prevent them from being completely unscathed and setting up. One thing I really like that the Florida May have been doing recently is setting up the push onto the point with a D.Va self-destruct. So you throw a D.Va self-destruct in, the attacking team is, the defending team's either forced to engage you on that high ground all at once, or back away, and then you can get most of your team onto the point. The Outlaws kept getting caught mid-stride, losing a player, even with Mercy, able to resurrect some of these kills. They still couldn't set up in the way that they were hoping for. They could never execute that game plan.
And, you know, some people may be like, oh, well, why do you just keep running the 76 on that point? It's just because if you get him on that bridge, and let's say you have a man advantage, it's a win. It's a win. In like 90% of cases, you're able to win that out. So it'll be Seoul Dynasty now on attack. Wakeed most likely will play Genji here. You'll have Munchkin play Tracer. Toby should switch off of this, maybe just kind of peeking out of the spawn. He'll probably go over to Lucio, give a little bit of a speed boost. On defense, this is why you wanted Bonnie in for Boink. He can play the Mercy, he can play the Ana, a little bit of Lucio. So he'll play Ana with Raucus playing Finn on defense.
Set up now. The rest of Soul wasting very little time in coming forward. Oh, they caught Mover out. That's not the start. The Outlaws were looking for it all. Jake's in big trouble now. Orb of Harmony on him. He's forced to back away while reflecting, but Zumba just keeps getting damage done. That's a big D-suit on Coolmat. Matt, the Outlaws are getting completely washed aside here. There's really not much they can do, losing one after another, and Zumba's body blocking. Notice that he didn't have defense matrix left, so he just stood in front of Jaehong to keep him alive.
It's a really fast push there from Seoul Dynasty. All started with that early pick off on Muma. As soon as Muma drops There's nothing really Houston can do. You notice, as soon as they drop Boomer, it wasn't like they just dove in right away. They just kind of sit there for a little bit, assess where everybody is on the map. Then they go in, they take out Bonnie really quickly. Then they get a D-Mech onto Cool Matt. They're able to just push on through. See Jake switch over to Junkrat here and try and play defense.
Well, the Old Faithful will be called upon by the Outlaws to try and get themselves out of this bind. Note here the big difference between these two teams is that Toby's gone over to the Lucio now. So the Seoul Dynasty will have the ability to try and get the drop on the Outlaws by speeding themselves in. But Kuki gets caught out there on his own, trying to be the one end of the pincer, jumping around up onto the high ground. The Seoul Dynasty will have to reset here. They need Kuki 100%.
Does it surprise you a little bit how little we've seen Junkrat in Stage 2? For me, a little bit. I think the maps don't favor him great, but I still think he's a very good hero, right? Just area denial and just the amount of... I think it's just really the amount of damage you put down, plus how fast Riptire, and how good of an ultimate Riptire is.
It's also now like Junkrat doesn't get rezzed after you pick him off.
It's true.
Generally speaking. I mean, like it might seem like such a minor thing, but that was the biggest strength of the Outlaws is that they use the Mercy usually to cover up any picks that they lost early in the fight, and then Jake was great at causing chaos, right? And a lot of the Korean teams, or like Seoul and New York, said this, that Jake's Junkrat was so nasty because they couldn't get the fight to be controlled in the way they wanted it to, and none of it made sense. It was like trying to read hieroglyphics.
Well, because they want to really, get the Diva D-Mech, right? You want to focus down these tanks, but you can't when that Junkrat's putting down so much damage. It's Munchkin coming on the flank, throws a pulse bomb in, doesn't get much of anything.
Jake got picked off and still trying to get down the stairs. He must have jumped into the air with that concussive mine and actually caught the blast from the Diva getting D-Mech there. Munchkin, though, doesn't seem to be too confident coming forward, but Raucus is quite the opposite. He fancied a bit of a fight with the Tracer. Munchkin won't be able to commit to this one. Again, only about 83.4% is what Seoul needs.
Well, Seoul got what they wanted. Houston ended up using Nano Boost in Transcendence there. You still hold on to this Blade for Seoul Dynasty. You have Blade plus Sound Barrier and Transcendence if you wanted. You have to be careful though with that Junkrat Riptire though. If that Riptire comes up, you can negate all that.
That's Houston's win condition in this fight, is get an early pick, probably with Junkrat. Get that Riptire, because that's the only way you're going to shut down two support ultimates being able to be used in this fight. Otherwise, the Seoul Dynasty can just go for days, and that will be the plan for them. So here's the tire. Where do we see this one connect? Zunba? Okay, it's a D-suit. It's going to give them that at the very least here. Already a tick on the point, though. Lynx are now chasing Kuki off. Kuki with Primal Rage has had to use it now. Zunba's dropped down to the low levels. He's actually very close to having his mech back. A lot of the Bunny Blaster shots actually finding their marks. Zunba now finally removed from the game. So we got a grenade dropped on his head while he was trying to get the mech back.
Yep, Jake already building up towards another Riptire, about 50%, just the amount of damage that Junkrat can put down. He gets very low on the point. He's going to have to back up. You still have both support ults here for Seoul Dynasty, but as we mentioned, they were able to win that fight. Houston, and you build up both support ults yet again, so that's where that Riptire can buy you a ton of time.
The only result that would be better than that for Houston is Seoul using both their support ult
and then using the tire.
So this is the best realistic result that Houston could hope for. Alexa though steps up. He's found Munchkin here, and the Seoul Dynasty have already committed a sound barrier to this fight, so they've got no choice but to go in now with a Dragon Blade. This is when they start digging deep and spending ultimates, and Jake shuts Wakid down. Concussive Mine to come through. Zunba here with a D-suit. The Discord all paying dividends for Raucus. Concussive Mine dropped down. Jake delays the explosion. Always time for a spray, ladies and gentlemen. And that's a good result for Houston. They did have to use both their support ults there.
Yeah, but the issue is now it's almost like, we talk about you want to kind of alternate which support ult you use in every fight. It's almost like the Riptire becomes another one because that buys you enough time to get the other support ults back. Because even if, let's say for argument's sake, Seoul uses their Transcendence here, they still would be able to do damage with that Riptire, right? So Wakid's going to have to switch off of Genji. Will go over to 76, which I think now it does make it even tougher for Seoul to get this high ground because you're just going to have the Junkrat still spamming these chokes.
It is, it's super annoying. And remember, more fights are won by getting a first pick than by having ultimate advantage. Oh, we got two! That wasn't going to plan at all. Linkser gets twice what he expected. And again, first picks are important. And the reason why that is crucial is because Houston managed to win a fight where they had far less ultimates to use because getting that first pick is so important.
Pulse Bomb now gives them an opportunity to earn Primal Rage, self-destruct, to get close to the support
ult
ults
again. Is very good at farming Transcendence very quickly while staying safe. It's just one of my favorite things about watching him as a player. So here's that Riptire. This is, I don't know what Jake has seen to make him want to go for this, but it's going to buy time at the very least. It doesn't get any kills. Zunba finds it. But Seoul are not in a hurry to engage yet, even now.
That's huge, though. I mean, you don't get anything with the tire. You have to feel pretty confident then. You're going to be able to build up to it rather quickly as Wakid will take out Linkser. That's going to force the Transcendence out from Jaehong here as they're trying to get control of this high ground still.
Muma actually found Wakid though, so good response to the fact that the Trance was being used. Muma can isolate members of Seoul and make sure they can't benefit from the healing that Jaehong was trying to provide. Raucus is very close to his own Transcendence, so Wakid may be back, but it may not be enough for the Seoul Dynasty, and Cormat wants to chase. Now with just a Bunny Blaster. He does extend quite deeply, but it may have been enough to buy the time for the Houston Outlaws to hold out a bit longer. Jake now is going to push deeper up on the high ground.
They were able to kill Toby, so Toby was actually going for a res there. He gets it off onto Wakid, and he chases down Toby, who has Valkyrie. As Jaehong's built up this Transcendence rather quickly, right? We just saw him use it already up to 80%. Yet again, as you see the damage that Jake is able to put down here on Junkrat.
Yeah. No Riptide kills. I said he got a pick with the Riptide because he got a D-Mac on Zunda, which obviously it's Zunda. So that's a huge difference. It's like removing the 7th man from the roster of Seoul.
Now you have this awkward situation yet again. Here's going to be Muma getting the effects of a Nano Boost as he tries to go around the corner. And Raucus actually uses Transcendence because Munchkin jumps on him in the back with Kuki.
Okay, the rest of Seoul Dynasty though are able to set up now on the high ground because Houston have had to commit to that low. So now they need to try and fight for the control of this area, and that's exactly what Muma's trying to do. Raucus picking up Toby from downrange is such a blessing for the Outlaws in this fight.
And was that during Valkyrie as well? So I believe Toby ended up using the Valkyrie there, so...
Well, maybe we'll get a replay of that. It's pretty sick stuff.
Nasty pick there.
Because he was being pressured very heavily by Kuki Primal Raging right at the back. So the fact that Raucus not only survives that, but turns around and smashes Toby, that's very nice for Houston. Yeah, fans should be feeling good. It's 1:35 left.
See, Links are adjusting to this Tracer rather well. As I say that, he misses a blink through a window and he gets knocked down. That's Wakid dropping early. That's going to force Toby to potentially go for a res because he's got that tactical visor. You need to combo that potentially with that Transcendence.
Huge buy-in now, and things are starting to soul out a little bit more for Seoul Dynasty here.
Jaehong's
fallen. That's big. Wakid can't use his tactical visor. Muma takes him down in Primal Rage, and this might be it. He gets Toby as well. Muma and Cormat stepping up in a big way. The desk said to look out for Muma, and it could be the game changer. And my God, he's done it again. He leaps on top of Kuki, removes him from the match, and that will be it. Seoul are not going to be able to finish the map, and Houston are going to be feeling real good about starting the series off like this.
And remember how close the series was between these two teams in stage 1. Houston doesn't have Linkser in that series. They're still able to put up a very good fight. A lot of the reason why was Jake on the Junkrat gave them a lot of troubles. He gives them trouble here on Hanamura. Linkser shows up though in a big way playing Tracer. As Houston looks very good.
Despite the best efforts of Munchen, the rest of Seoul wasn't able to get towards that second point. The Junkrat makes another appearance and it works out for the Outlaws. What a surprise! We'll see you after the break for map 2.
I'm entranced. Oh, Jake. Let's score, that soldier, soldier.
Got him. Stop someone. Monkey woke up.
Jake, come back, main.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Yo, Bumba.
I'm reloading.
Let's score, Bucky.
Monkey on bridge.
Bottom. He's Kill the soldier.
Better dead.
Nice, Jake.
Soldier dead.
Thank you.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
just gotta keep moving forward.
The Houston Outlaws have a 1-0 lead over the Seoul Dynasty, and the Dynasty chances of making it to this weekend are certainly in jeopardy. Now, you guys hear us talking about playoff implications and stage title match implications all week long. So for those of you who aren't too familiar, here's a look at how exactly it works.
As the Overwatch League enters the final week of Stage 2, it's time to get you set for the stage title matches. First, here's how it all works. The Overwatch regular season is broken into 4 5-week stages. At the conclusion of each individual stage, we have the stage title matches, pitting the top 3 teams in the standings against each other. For teams with the same record, the tiebreakers are cumulative map differential, followed by head-to-head map differential, then head-to-head record. On Sunday following the end of Stage 2, the second and third place finishers will face off, with the winner taking on the number 1 team for a chance to take the title of stage champion. So, what's at stake other than bragging rights? Try $100,000 to the winning team and $25 grand to the runner-up. The competition has taken Overwatch League to a new level, and this week's Stage 2 title matches will reveal who rises to the top.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Not only cash money, dollar bill, but also bragging rights. And being the champion of the stage is what's basically on the line coming into this weekend. And now it's looking like it might be a Seoul, a New York, a London. You know, those 3 teams in there. Unless Houston can properly play spoiler here and things go wrong.
That's what I was this week. Yeah, I mean, potentially, right? You know, Houston looks good in map 1. We have Boink coming in for Bonnie for map number 2. So Boink is, you know, their Lucio specialist on control. You want to see that Lucio play more. I think also, you know, it's kind of interesting, you know, Boink comes in, right? You know, Bonnie and Raucus built up such great chemistry playing all stage 1 pretty much together. Now it changes things up a little bit in terms of that support core. No substitutions from Seoul Dynasty, so they're still going to run with this lineup in map number 2. Houston can pull some interesting stuff out here on this map, Mitch. You know, you can run Pharah a little bit. You can run Junkrat. I believe it was Houston we saw earlier run Bastion on Village.
Yes,
remember they came out with the top?
Yeah, that was the Philly cheesesteak moment.
Yeah,
you know, that was the El Presidente on Nepal Village against the Fusion.
You know, in a match like this, maybe you bring it back out.
It didn't really work, though. I think it got shot. They almost won the round.
We've seen it work in the past, though. We've seen the Bastion work on this map.
That is true.
Previously.
I've seen Bastion work back when he had his own shield.
Yep, that was.
No, to be honest, I mean, if you've watched any Jungle Town, like back in the day, especially World Cup, it was just filled with Bastion, so it is a thing. But yeah, Boink and Raucus. Boink and the Badoinkadoink, Matt. Yeah. Double support joy here for Houston, bit of a mix-up for them. So yeah, the Lucio looking far more likely, but even Moira, I know that Boink likes to play that a little bit as well. And this kind of map, not as common just because of the verticality that exists and the fact there's probably a Diva you're going to have to face down. But we have seen Moira played into Diva, despite her defense matrix eating those biotic orbs.
Moira obviously provides a ton of healing. It's also like a deterrent to whether, you know, it's like a Tracer or a Genji coming at you, right? She can put down a little bit of extra damage. She can throw that healing orb out. Whatnot, heal yourself, heal like your other support, but it'll be Boink going over to Lucio here. So we're going to see Mira comes on both sides. Mumo will switch off of Symmetra, go over to Winston here shortly.
Yeah, that will be the plan, guys. Still a nod to all those patiently waiting for Symmetra's first incursion. I say that as if it were an invasion and something that's not good. But people waiting. So Lynx are now going to work it from the side. Again, he had space to start with, so he could choose his entry point. That Orb of Discord made Wakid very fragile.
They get Wakid extremely weak, and they actually get punished for it here as Coolman tries to go in from the staircase here, tries to finish him off, gets D-Max. They get Jayhawk rather weak yet again. They just can't finish these kills off. It's really tough when you don't have that Diva to fly in, put down that extra damage.
Nothing like the strong hand out from Lynx to finish off the kill there on Zunba. Again, it was the entirety of the Seoul Dynasty were then waiting for him to finish, tussling with his previous targets.
It's Wakid just putting down some damage on the point there. Able to finish some kills off. 3 kills in that first fight for Wakid. He's building up towards that tactical visor. We see his tech visor built up pretty quickly here on some of these control maps. You know, with the level of 76 play we see in the Overwatch League. Remember yesterday with Baby Bay, he got like 2 in 1 fight.
Just, like 40%. We talked to him this morning about it. He was like, yeah, I was just popping off, man. A crazy game. Unfortunately, he got subbed out. And we saw that series be a struggle for San Francisco. But now the Outlaws have to come in and retake the point. You can see that Munchkin actually doesn't really have much room to breathe here. Everywhere he tries to go, there's a tank from the Outlaws that are trying to keep tabs on him. Kuki gets buffeted by Coolmat, who then backs up and tries to use the defense matrix, but he's been desuited and the timing couldn't be any better for Wakid to come in with a tactical visor. Coolmat removed. Jake, wow, that's super aggressive from Jake. I guess he knew the fight was already over, was hoping to get something.
Nothing really they could do there is how he ends up using his tactical visor when there's really no opportunity to make a play, right? I mean, maybe you're trying to push out the Transcendence late, but they had already gotten like 2 kills, so...
There's no way Soul are going to use Trans if they're in a 6...
Well, they already used Sound Barrier, right? So they're not going to burn Transcendence as well. I mean, now you have both support ults here for the Houston Outlaws, right? You'll be able to out-sustain Soul Dynasty. It's whether they can get that first pick and then engage with an advantage.
Jayhong sitting back. You see Wakid forced to bail out there. He took a heck of a lot of damage and he wasn't healed in time. Jayhong was busy trying to get orbs down. That's the problem with Zenyatta. Sometimes it's either do damage or get healing, much like the Ana problem. Jayhong there provides the Transcendence, and it may have done the job for the time being, at least plug some of the gaps in the setup for the Soul Dynasty. Jayhong trying to avoid Muma here, trying to get some safety. Nah, no way you're going to get away with that one. Raucus cuts him down, sees his opposite number across the field and makes a beeline.
Yes, Houston should be able to take this point back. You see the cleanup kills here. There's the point. Flips over to the Houston Outlaws as they did have to use both of those support ults to do it, but you know, they built up to him rather quickly, right? I mean, Jayhong used the Transcendence in that fight, just keeping Raucus alive. Look at the advantage it's given them in terms of, you know, building up towards some more of those ults.
Coolmat, the self-destruct. Interesting how he wants to set up with this one.
You know, we saw Zumba just use the self-destruct. When the sound barrier comes in, he knows the push is going to come up, so he just throws it right in the sky where Soul Dynasty is, so Houston couldn't exactly just push straight onto him.
Gonna give him some options anyway. Linkser again, he'll be looking for Jayhong, hoping that he's on his own. I think Linkser intended to get up on the lip there. He actually has to use the rest of his blink charges to get away from Munchkin. He wanted to try and drop in from the high ground. Yeah, got it this time though. The tactical visor coming out from Wakid though. It may not even been needed in the first place though, because Jake was cut down by Munchkin at the very start of the fight. And all that effort that Linkser went to try and get in a flanking position, Matt, has gone to waste. He knows he has to throw himself at this one, and this round might as well be over. Linkser had no choice but to try and challenge out. That should be it. The Soul Dynasty, a very strong showing so far here on Nepal.
That's a tough one for Houston to lose there at the end, Mitch. They have both support ults and a tactical visor, and they don't get to use anything there towards the end. See high fives over there to Wakid. Had himself a good first point. They're 9 limbs, 4 final blows, 31% of overall team damage.
And you see the way that Soul are playing around their support ultimates. Be very disciplined in not using those. I think the most exploited part of Soul's team composition up against London was definitely the supports, and Jayhong was pressured very heavily. London just kept poking and prodding at their backline and getting very aggressive on those dives. But now, these support ultimates are being rationed out like chocolate bars in Mad Max, Matt. They're really making sure they've got one for each fight.
Well, it's just London's dive was just so nasty against Soul Dynasty, right? With, I know, Huyal, and then you had Bird Ring and Prophet just putting a ton of pressure on the back line.
Are less likely to want to try
more defensive,
Yeah, I mean, and this should be evidence now by the fact that they're using a Don't Touch Me comp. Jake on the Junkrat, Linkser on the Widowmaker. They want to love Soul from a long way away.
Yep. Widow versus Widow, though. You know, Linkser gets the better of a lot of these other Widowmakers as Jake gets pulled on in by Zunba. It'll be an early pick there from Soul, and that's huge, right? That's a ton of damage that's coming down.
Ballsy.
They're going to get the res, but it's going to be Munchkin who gets the better of Linkser on the other side, and then Jayhong takes Boink out right after the res comes through. So, you know, that first push couldn't have gone any worse there for Houston. Very good for Soul Dynasty.
Just as Houston try and soar up their right side, their left side crumbles, and then vice versa. You can see that Muma actually put that Orisa barrier a little bit short of the corpse, which Jake gets picked off again. That's not ideal. Can't be allowing this to happen now. I would say Boink's res is still on cooldown for a couple of seconds, so Jake won't be rejoining them now. They have to wait for him to respawn. See, old Mercy meta.
It's Jayhong getting damage boost at range, able to just take Jake out. He's coming through the doorway as you see the headshots come in there from Munchkin onto Muma. You got to heal him all the way back up. So they're just spamming this choke with orbs and then shots from Munchkin, and they're just able to just punish players as they walk through.
Now the aggression's starting to come from the Outlaws. They're getting a little bit impatient here, playing at long range, and Movement just can't get a break. Linksa though responds. Munchkin was already occupied with trying to remove the four-legged beast, and he can respond. Wakid though with a Riptide, it's going to be really nasty now. With that Orisa in play, most of the Outlaws are going to try and play around it as much as possible. Jake was going looking for Wakid while he was channeling that Riptide, but he didn't find him in time. Now Movement presses forward. Transcendence is there, so Kuki's head just gets bashed in. Of course, and Movement now stands tall on the point. Headshots galore. You're actually hitting very hard if you can get consistent headshots with this Orisa. And Linksa's chiming in with Son of his own.
Yeah, both support ults there needed to be used by Houston to take the point back. They end up using that Valkyrie, which provides Movement enough healing to, just survive that Riptire, which is a little bit of HP, and then Raucus comes in with that Transcendence after. But you survive that big Riptire, you have a Riptire now of your own. So, Zunba and Roadhog can just kind of, take a breather, just eat that all right up.
Now Linksa has infra sight, so the entirety of the Outlaws know what this setups look like. Jake's trying to play close up, but he goes too far. Over-aggression there seems to be his downfall. Movement's going to get pushed off the edge. There's no way coming back from that one. He attempted a halt to try and bring some of Soul with him, but it wasn't going to work. And now that Soul have taken all of that space in the enclosed area, they're able to heal up Zunba, who just comes forward now with the hook, causes some problems. Linksa found Jayhon, but Wakid's going to come up on him now, and Doormat is going to get taken down by the scrap gun. Lovely prediction from Zunba. Knew there'd be a mini diva popping out of the mech, and he kept Wakid alive by removing the Bunny Blaster from the equation. Love it!
So you do have this Riptire here from Jake still, as Soul Dynasty comes, takes the point. Really nice whole hog there from Zunba as he jumps down, takes Jake out, then just sends Muma off the side as Soul Dynasty looking dominant here.
Now Rouge Hall. 8 final blows, which is 3 more than the next closest player, so he's just dominating right now. The Zen really coming up. Now Jake kind of just, I don't know, the Riptide
a little early.
The shield, yeah. He pulled it a little bit short. A couple of small errors for Jake are really hurting him and the rest of his team in this round. Zunba's down. Coolmat's in a good position to cause problems here. Micro Rockets do claim the life of Kuki. And Houston have maintained control at this point the entire time. Or at least it's been back and forth. The point is, Soul haven't been able to take this round away just yet. This Valkyrie needs to be used probably preemptively by Boink, and he needs to not get picked off by Munchkin midway through. It's very important. Linksa, time to step up.
It's a nice play by Coolmat after he takes out Zunba. He sees Toby, flying right by. He has to just sit there for a second and camp the body in case Toby tries to get Zunba back into the mix, right? Because that Roadhog can just exist so long on the point as Wakid on the flank takes Raucus out.
How does he just get in like that? It seems as if the Outlaws aren't ready for that kind of play, but Linksa has a safe spot. Line him up so he can knock him down. Kuki and Munchkin fall by the wayside, and the Outlaws again can shore up their defensive position here as they approach the magic 100%.
Yeah, and it's a nice halt by Muma that just sends some of those players above the shield, right, of Orisa. So that's what they're trying to do, get those players up in the sky. Kind of like that, halt hook combo, and this time, though, it's just Linksa nailing these headshots as those players go up in the sky.
Linksa's anticipating that Soul are going to try and circumvent his position, and he's correct. Unfortunately, he's on the wrong side of the map to pick off the wide flank from Soul Dynasty. Riptire in, find Kuki. Now the Transcendence coming a little bit late. There might not be a Resurrect. Toby's trying to go for it. Nice use of the Transcendence to cover Toby as he gets the Resurrect on Kuki. Smart play by Soul. One support ultimate begets another. That's how it works. And now Muma knows he's probably done. Zunba chases him down. Self-destruct for Coolmat. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't even really create much space with the Orisa barrier in play. Raucus has to face up front now on that Tracer pick. Riptire into claim point. The Mercy's down. Soul Dynasty so close to taking this one away. Coolmat now has to dip his toe in the water, and Linksa appears on the doofus. Everyone's getting knocked around. It's a rock and sock 'em, but it won't be enough. Matsu, Soul Dynasty, proving again to be the kings on control. Houston valiantly coming close. The close is not enough in the Overwatch League.
Yeah, Jaehong was pretty dominant on that map. 8 final blows for Soul Dynasty. Is second on the team, right behind Munchkin, who had 9. You get that type of play out of Zenyatta, it's pretty easy to win these control maps. We're all tied going into the half. We'll have the desk to break it down after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
The Houston defense held strong on Hanamura, but Seoul dominated Nepal to even things up. We're all tied up 1 apiece at the half. Welcome back, everybody. It's Puckett here at the desk. I got the crew with me once again. The roommates, the deadly duo that we stole from the UK. We got Bren, we got Sideshow. We won't talk about your murders. Let's talk about some video games here. Brenji, what do you think of your Houston Outlaws? I saw on Twitter you thought this was the team to walk away with the W today.
Yeah, I was a bit miffed, to be honest, Puckett, because I thought we were going to be doing predictions on the desk, and I kind of got cheated out there. When I was going to predict Houston Outlaws, and I'm still going to be sticking with it. We're not going with the classic Bren flip-flop today, at least. Well, at least not for now. And at least, well, I got to say, they have been impressing. I mean, Houston beating out Seoul Dynasty on a map that they should have been favorites for. Hanamura is a map they're classically known, and it all began with Jake on the Hanzo. That's how they cracked open that A defense on Hanamura, at least. It was pretty interesting for me, seeing how they utilize a lot of the skill set. You can see as well, using that Sonic Arrow, and it was how that opening pick, they got enough damage into Kuki. You can see these arrows so much damage with those headshots.
And then they get in the Sonic Arrow at the beginning to scout out where we're keyed, and obviously Kuki, who's holding forward, and then they just use the massive burst damage to push them away. And we saw that happen actually on the other side when Seoul attacked. They just focused on Moomer immediately. Both of the teams realizing that if you take the tanks out of the situation, points like on Hanamura will crumble.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. If you watched the games yesterday, it felt like everyone was just speed boosting Lucios on the right side of the map and trying to kill the healers. This time around, taking out the tanks first. But let's talk about the second point here, because Houston was able to win map 1 by having more points gathered on that point B. So how are they able to capture that? How are they able, or get at least 2 clicks, how are they able to put Seoul on the back foot?
Yeah, and as we've seen, Hanamura goes for Hanamura in stage 2 has become a very defensively favored map, so the defense is excellent here. And I've got an Insights powered by Intel telestration segment to illustrate why the defense is so good and how Houston were able to get the better end of this. So the guys to look out for here from the Seoul side in particular is the positioning of Jaehong and Toby. Now sometimes you'll see Jaehong positioned over here on the left-hand side as well. And what the Houston Outlaws are going to be trying to do is they're going to separate into a group of 4. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're going to combine up in the top left-hand side here as the back line for the Houston Outlaws. And that leaves Muma and Linksa open to dive. So as we scroll this one forwards, you'll see that that's what Muma's positioning is doing here. Now I'm going to pause it again, and you'll notice that Linksa's taken this angle around the left-hand side, and Muma's taken this positioning up top. They're going to drop down on the supports, and this is part of their play. As the other 4 back off, they're trying to get in onto Toby and Jaehong. Now Seoul Dynasty realize this, and they peel back a couple of times, and it just slowly working it out so that if they can get the picks. But as you see here, Seoul Dynasty have so much room to work with. The defense is so good from this team, and basically from every team as well, because this is what Houston were able to do. As long as you cram them in the corridor, you get massive value out of it. And so here's another time that they do it as well. Again, we're going to be paying attention to Linksa and Muma. Muma, again, getting on the high ground. Linksa on the low ground. And this time, Zunba is forced to come back. So that's the adaptation to look at here, is that Zunba was forced to come backwards instead of playing aggressively. He's now peeling for his team to help Toby and Jaehong out. And this opens up a whole avenue so that even though Linksa dies here, they're able to reset in the next fight and find picks. So this separation of their team into 2 diving at the front and 4 diving at the back is how they seem to be approaching the map and the match going forward.
Do you think they would have more success if they had a 3rd person diving in with Muma and with Linksa on that tracer?
No, I don't think so, because Cool Matt needs to stay at the back to make sure that the other guys stay alive, and you can't have Jake just trying to get in there because he doesn't really play the Genji. It's difficult to set up those flanks. So instead what they could have tried to do is really pressure the tanks as they're going aggressive, but it's just a mix-up. And when Seoul were doing it, you saw they had a lot less success with Kuki and Munchkin diving.
All right, so speaking of that, Seoul definitely unable to capture that second point. That's why they lost the game. Who was stopping them short on the defensive end? Who's stepping up for Houston so far?
So it's Houston going back to the basics almost here, with Jake going back to the Junkrat and also Muma really stepping up in his own role as the main tank. And it's really that prioritization. I mean, Muma was absolutely fantastic with his Primal Rages. I was making mention as the games were going on, but he was surviving. He was getting crucial picks like this one onto Wiki here. Like he was honestly just stepping up massively for them. But also Jake with these tires, right? Building him up. And you notice how he prioritized utilizes as well the Diva player, trying to bring down Zumba in the midst of things. A crucial target really is Zumba is one of the best players on Soul Dynasty. If you can take him out, suddenly all of the sort of utility, flexibility of Soul adapting on the fly is taken out, and they can't normally do the team fights that they'd like to do.
All right, I was a little bit nervous, guys. We got to keep this moving to the second game. I was a little bit nervous after seeing Soul in map 1. They lost, so now they're coming into control. Kuki didn't have the greatest game number 1. We see him playing Winston as well as the Orisa going into map 2. How does Soul walk away with the victory as you look at Nepal?
I think they had just a better setup coming into it. They're able to play more effectively when they're in control of the point on Nepal on Shrine. And then moving into Sanctum, I think the Orisa v Orisa wars were really interesting to watch. And Linksa was keeping them in it with the Widowmaker, but overall it was Jae-Hong really had a hell of a game.
And let's look at some of these numbers here from Jae-Hong. He was doing work, leading the team in final blows for most of the first 2 games. And you look at those final blows, 3 of those 8 are on Jake. He is taking Jake out of the action. The other 5, that's 1 Outlaws member each. So spreading the love around, but trying to keep his focus on that Junkrat, or in the first half, a bit of a Genji.
He is unleashed now, isn't he, Ryu Jae-Hong? He's just really not being pressured too much. And we see a lot of teams, when they get the wins against Seoul, that's generally their key to victory, is focusing down Ryu Jae-Hong. But this time, he is striking back and getting those kills.
All right, well, you said you're sticking with Houston, so I want to ask Sideshow. You're the unbiased party here today. Nothing on Twitter, nothing on the line. How does the second half play out? Does Houston cause the upset and keep teams like Philly in the playoff hunt here?
I think the next 2 maps are really great for the Houston Outlaws, actually. So if you're a Houston fan, there's definitely still hope that they can come away with this series, even though they came in as the underdogs. For me, though, I'm still going to have to go with Seoul. If they play a little more aggressive and start getting into that backline, that 4-man core that I was talking about, I think they can do real damage.
We got a sold-out audience. I want to hear from you guys. Who thinks Houston should lock this one up in the second half? How many of you guys want to see Seoul competing in the Stage 2 playoffs? A lot of love in this venue for these 12 players. We'll see who comes out on top on the other side of this commercial break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
We are all tied up 1-1 in this matchup between the Houston Outlaws and the Seoul Dynasty. And if you're thinking what I'm thinking, you're thinking that the Houston Outlaws are looking a lot like that team we came to know and love in Stage 1. It seems like they've really gotten their groove back in this matchup. And for the Seoul Dynasty, it is imperative that they win this thing out, because as I always say, every map matters. Will the Houston Outlaws deny the Dynasty entry into the title matches this weekend? Let's find out right now and send it over to my homies, Uber and Mr. X.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a point. It's like we pretend like we don't know that, you know, people are like, oh, every map matters, every map matters. It actually does, because map differential is more important than head-to-head, I think, a lot of these cases. So these kind of matches are important, especially if there's any chance of Seoul not making playoffs and getting something like the Gladiators or the Fusion in there.
Well, you look, I mean, Seoul in Stage 1, the reason they didn't make it is, you know, largely down to map differential. If they were to lose this series, right, obviously that would put them tied, you know, in terms of overall record with the Gladiators in the Fusion. And, you know, they've dropped maps to the Dallas Fuel, they've dropped maps to, they dropped one map to Shanghai.
They dropped map to everyone on the dog.
Yep. So, no, if they lose this match, they're in a lot of trouble, and a lot of that is because of the maps they lose earlier in the stage. So we'll see Kings Row come in here. Interesting from the side of Houston Outlaws. We do not see Spree come in. So Spree is usually a mainstay for them on this map. Not in the lineup right here. This tells me maybe you don't want to run that Zarya. Maybe they thought it would be a little bit predictable, right? Going with the Zarya on this map.
Okay, but let's keep pulling on this little thread. Yeah. That means that they don't want to play tank heavy either.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, you could have like a Reinhardt, Diva, let's talk about Houston on offense, right? I mean, you could do like Roadhog with Jake on Roadhog. You could play Linkster on Hanzo, and you can run Rein and Diva. You can run a triple tank that way. I mean, it's not obviously ideal. You know, Zarya is so good on this map. Maybe you think that, you know, Wakid being in the lineup, he plays Junkrat a lot. You know, maybe you think they're going to bring in a Junkrat, but then you would still want Zarya for that Junkrat. So it's quite interesting here from Houston. Maybe you want to play just Junkrat of your own, like Junkrat Widow, you know, Tracer, Genji if you wanted. I mean, it gives them a little bit more flexibility, right? Because when Spree's in the lineup, you obviously either need to take out Cool Matt, who's a very good diva, or you need to sub him in, and then that kind of forces you to play that Zarya the entire map. So it gives them a little bit overall flexibility.
This comp for me from Seoul, by the way, kind of screams, we don't think we're going to get dimed. Because Wakid is just going to be sat back there thinking like, I'm okay with this, you know. I mean, I'm more than happy to sit and play. I kind of like the Seoul setup as opposed to some teams that are using like a Widowmaker and a Junkrat, and they're kind of standing off the point. This Seoul roster will be planted on the point and will not be giving anything away for free.
And you see Moira right now on both sides because you fully expect there to be Zarya in place of Diva. Interesting enough, though, you know, Seoul is still going to run Moira, even though Houston will have a Diva in the mix.
It's a super interesting composition that has all the elements of the dive. Okay, Linkster,
so you do have
the hog now.
This is what I was talking about. So, Linkster will play Zarya. Interesting.
Okay, so they've maybe tried to telegraph something completely different to Seoul. Or maybe they've just seen the composition they need to fight fire with fire. Maybe the McCree giving them pause for thought. And so it should. Wakid picks off Jake to start proceedings here on Kings Row. And another notch in the belt as Linkster is felled.
Very interesting here from Houston to change that comp up. It's going to be Seoul getting very aggressive. As you know, Zumba pretty charged up. You know, average energy 60%. So you figure, you know, got topped up at about, you know, 70-80% there in that first fight. So Jake will still play Junkrat here. So, you know, he can put down a ton of this damage. Just how do you capitalize on it, right? You have to get Linkster charged up on Zarya. You have to get Cool Man into these fights.
So I guess this is the first time the Outlaws can actually play the Zarya comp with a Diva instead of a Hog. Obviously, Spree does not like to play Diva. He doesn't play much of it. He's definitely more of that Zarya specialist. But this isn't working. McCree is just tearing strips off of the Outlaws right now, and I know it sounds like it's 2016 all over again, but that's the case. It's working out well. You see Seoul playing very assertive in terms of their positioning, using the shielding from Kuki, allowing Wakid just to go ham.
Yeah, you know, in the previous matchup that we casted from Seoul, it was interesting, right? Munchkin was playing that Zarya, and they kept Zumba on Diva. This time they flipped that, put Zumba on Zarya, one of his best, if not best, heroes.
Well, now the Graviton Surge, there will be a Deadeye. Now, a lot of the Outlaws are actually behind the wall. Wakid only gets Muma there. That's going to be all. He tries to go for an Earth Shatter, and it looks like he's taken down before he can actually drop the hammer. So it makes me wonder if he's going to switch. Definitely a wasted Earth Shatter. Muma can't be happy about that.
And both support ults used by the Houston Outlaws to fight through that. It'll be Jake who takes out Zunba. You're going to have a Riptire as well. Maybe they're waiting for the grab to come through and just blow this tire up at the end. But it looks like you're not going to be able to get that timing and see how far back Soul's pushing. You get 2 with the Riptire. That's huge. They push so far off of the point, and you get 2 with that Riptire. That's massive.
They just won the point for 1 Riptire, Matt. That's all they needed to do. Not only did the Riptire force Seoul Dynasty to disengage so far back that they wouldn't be able to run to the point in time, but they got 2 picks, the most important ones. Reinhardt and McCree were taken down. 1 ultimate for 1 point. I think the Outlaws will take that trade any day.
And this part of the map is where you think Junkrat can be most effective, right? You know, he can just put down tons of damage. It's close choke. So, you know, there's not really the threat. He doesn't really have to worry about flankers coming after him, Jake, right? I mean, there's no, like, Tracer or Genji on the other side. It's not like a Widowmaker's back there going to one-shot. McCree's a very slow hero, right? So he's kind of forced to play behind Kuki's shield. You can break that rather quickly. It'll be Zunba throwing his self-destruct mech in there. He's going to catch Linkser.
Okay, 1-for-1 trade there. Jaeong actually falling to Jake's grenades as he backed away. And now the Riptire again. Again!
Here as well.
4 AM, he's in your house. Who's he looking for? Well, trying to find Zunba. Not going to get him, though. Now the Outlaws are going to group up once more time. Deadeye from Wakid, immediate disengage. It might put Jake, very compromising position. He was caught out, couldn't back away, and had to go left inside the room where he was corralled and taken down.
You got Graviton Surges from both teams. Potentially one comes out here from Houston. That was a used grab there by Linkser. I believe it gets eaten up by Munchkin.
Yeah, I just see Munchkin on the Diva. Paying off. I mean, Munchkin struggled a little bit, I think, earlier on against London, that Zaya battle. Now Graviton Surge coming out from the Seoul Dynasty. That one was not eaten. Coalescence cutting through. Kuki's very far forward. He got his Earth Shatter mostly blocked there. Nice positioning from Muma to stop that one. The Coalescence helping in a big way.
And they're coming quick because they have an Earth Shatter of their own, and Seoul actually makes it around the corner. So both teams trying to use that speed from Lucio to just chase the other down. Muma uses Earth Shatter coming around the corner. But Toby gets his team out of harm's way.
Because Toby was not sticking around. He knew from the aggressive posturing of the Outlaws that Muma likely had an Earth Shatter.
Another Riptire here for Jake as well. Going to use it, go high, over the buildings.
Oh, not this time! It's easy for a McCree to pick up a Riptire, especially if you played the Halloween special, Matt. We should be very good at it. Muma pressing forward. Kuki now down to about 20 HP. Yeah, he's going to be pretty much dealt with there. Coalescence cutting through. Muma's also being healed by one as well. It's a big light show. It's like a Z concert right now. All of it cutting through. Linkser with 98%. That's a great little placement from that self-destruct. Linkser will fall to that one. The shield was turned away from Muma, but Jake gets 2. Jake really making the difference. It's like, how did the Outlaws ever think that switching off of it would be a good idea in the past? They're getting so much value out of Jake right now.
It's such a devastating hero to go up against. I mean, you see he's already at another Riptire. It was a big kill onto Linkser because he was getting very close to the Graviton Surge. Going to use that Riptire right on top. He's going to take out Toby, get a D-Mech onto Zunba, gets him weak. It'll be Munchkin actually playing that Diva. He gets him. It'll be point B taken here for the Houston Outlaws. They hold on to this Graviton Surge. They do have another Earth Shatter. You imagine they're going to build up towards that Riptire rather quick. That forces Wakid to play a Junkrat of his own now.
This is getting out of hand. 36% of Houston's damage has come from Jake. More than the third. Very big impact in this round so far. Muma comes forward. Big Earth Shatter. One of the biggest we've seen in a while. And now it's going to be the pin. Lovely stuff. Raucus, it's easy for him to pick up the targets from long range with the Coalescence. Kuki catches Jake though with a Fire Strike. Muma might just have to pause for a moment. Big Graviton in. 3 players caught. Now Zunba, very low HP. Shields up at just the right time. But Kuki's looking worse for wear himself. Munchkin drops in. Doesn't find any kills thus far. Now he has to challenge without a protective barrier from Nazaya. Wakid is the next. But Defense Matrix stops all the grenades connecting. And the Houston Outlaws looking much better on this map. The Junkrat paving their way forward. Fantastic Graviton Surge by Linkser to secure the final fight.
It just makes you wonder why they went away from it, right? Like sometimes, like obviously, like there is always a meta that develops, right? But when you have like a hero who is disruptive as like a Junkrat, and you can have somebody who plays him at such a high level, you may as well try it how it works, right? On all these different maps. Like, I mean, Jake, it's kind of like odd that it's been Jake who's like turned into this like Junkrat superstar when like Junkrat, at least for me, you know,
2 words that should never be put together.
Well, at least, I mean, a lot of the people at home know, like, going up against a good Junkrat is one of the more annoying things, just because, like, he just spams and spams and spams. It feels like every time like you're walking through a choke, like you just get hit, like it's just this chip damage, and you have to wait to get healed up, and then you get hit again, and then next thing you know, it's like Riptire, you never know where it's coming from. It's like, it's just a frustrating hero to play against.
It causes chaos. There's so much displacement available. Think of a Primal Rage, but kind of, you know, on a much shorter cooldown from those concussive mines, plus the huge burst damage they provide. You know, Zenyatta, being one of the most predominant heroes currently still in Overwatch in terms of how powerful Transcendence is, can't do very much to prevent against Riptire. And you can see, with 2 concussive mines available and, you know, a decent fire rate, how quickly a good Junkrat can build up those Riptires.
And the thing with Junkrat is, to get him out of the game, you kind of have to commit and just jump right on him, right? So you know you're going to take damage. Without Mercy, you know, having those 2 reses and the instant reses, it's not like before where you could, you know, use Valk, jump in onto, you know, Jake or whoever's playing Junkrat.
It's much riskier to kill Jake.
It's much riskier, right? So if you go in, even if you kill Jake, the amount of damage he's going to put down on the rest of the members, you may be able to get 2 quick kills off of it. A Riptire every 67 seconds for Jake, that's 1 minute and 6 seconds for some of you people who can't figure that out at home.
It's 1 minute and 7 seconds.
Well, now it's 1 minute and 7 seconds, now that he's past that, right? You know.
Yeah, no, I feel you, bro. I feel you. All right. Now, the stat and our little sheet was a little bit different by 1 second.
Yeah.
But Munchkin's going to move up here. So the Roadhog's here. It's shield busting time. And now going to go straight over the edge here. The Outlaws, they aren't able to sort of shut Seoul Dynasty away. They're actually going to give ground. Instead, most teams on the defense send their D.Va forward to knock into Seoul midway through, but they're happy with this.
Lynx are with a ton of damage in this first fight on Widowmaker. And Intrasight in 37 seconds. That's insane. As he's able to put down a ton of damage as these players coming up on the high ground. If you're Houston, this is exactly what you wanted, right? You wanted to force them into your type of game, a Widowmaker, Junkrat, slower type of approach. It's working out right now.
Last time these 2 teams went head-to-head, it went all the way to map 5. It was in stage 1. The
Lynxer didn't play.
That's right, even without Lynxer. Oh, naturally, it was a better season overall, a better stage overall from the Outlaws, but this game, we're starting to see shades of that stage 1 dominance. Lynxer hoping that someone would get pulled out from behind the shield, but the shield itself got pulled up from the hole. Now Lynxer gonna have to back away. Repel used, Zumba's not gonna chase this, and Lynxer can move back here. Looking for J-Hom, will just peek around the corner. Riptire might ruin the day, it does! Munchkin and Toby go up in flames. And now Lynxer can come forward and play it a little bit more. Jake with 3 kills for the fight. Lynxer with the Dinkser. Zumba taken down. 2 minutes and 22 on the clock, and the Outlaws are starting to build ahead of steam on defense here.
Yeah, and Wakita's still up on the high ground, so that's, you see, Lynx are looking for. They take him out of that fight, so they'll have to wait for Wakita to get back. So you see Lynx are just trying to use the repel, go over the target. It's dangerously close to hitting J-Hong.
This is a pretty aggressive position to play on the point like that. He can step back a little bit now. Obviously, Lynx can always disengage with a grappling hook, and his team can collapse in for him. Now Solar grouping up, they're going to use the speed boost to try and get inside the Alderworth Hotel. This makes them susceptible right now to Junkrat, so they need to move from that quickly, otherwise Jake's just going to hammer them. And you can see that's what's happening right now. You see the silhouette of Kuki getting knocked up by the concussive mine. Wakid knows that Jake's above him. Jake is so close to yet another Riptile. It'll be 2-2 fight. Toby goes down! Surely they knew that Jake was waiting above them with bated breath, blinking his lips, waiting for the next kill. And now J-Hom gets displaced again. This Riptire could have his name on it. He's going to play the Jade long game and try and back up, but Jake catches him. Death taxes Jake's Riptires. Oh, man.
Zumba gets D-Max, he'll use his self-destruct, get a new mech right back, so. See, Soul still going with this comp. They did use a Coalescence there in the last fight. Most support ults used by Houston. So you're going to get a sound barrier, and you have an Earth Shatter here to use. The issue is, where do you use this Earth Shatter, right? Because everybody's playing on the high ground here for Houston.
Toby looking a little bit low on HP. They're trying to gain some ground, Solar, but they're taking a lot of damage in the process. Lynx are now having to continue the little do-si-do and keep the rest of Soul at arm's length. Right now, the pesky Reinhardt barriers prevented him from doing much of the damage he would have liked to. But Jake, I mean, when there's a Jake, there's a way in some of these fights. He does have good position, at least from that high ground, to rain down some grenades. Now, 2 ticks are going to come up for the Seoul Dynasty. The Outlaws have to come forward instead and deliver, but they've lost Muma and Lynxer. Jake surely doesn't get out of this one alive. No, he gets taken down. A swipe with a rocket hammer will claim him. And the Seoul Dynasty finally come up with a solution to what has been a very pesky problem.
Yeah, the sound barrier helps them sustain on through a lot of that damage. A little bit of a change here for Houston. Some big changes coming in. So Boink will go to Lucio here. Raucus will go to Moira. So I know Moira, very effective on this next part of the map. And you know, that's probably thinking that maybe you have Munchkin stay on Roadhog and you had Zunba go over to Zarya, but they're going to have Munchkin switch off of Roadhog, go back to D.Va. You'll have Zunba play Zarya. Same with Linkser on the other side. He's going to play Zarya as well.
Kuki getting forced back. A lot of poke coming out for the Outlaws right now. Self-destruct throwing in, but they drop the shield! Kuki goes in, but it's all he's going to find. He doesn't get much done as Jake is there to push him right on back, and the self-destruct probably would have claimed him anyway. Wakid deals with Jake, but Linkser and Co still want to forge ahead, press forward. Raucous manages to give Wakid a bit of a slapping as he backs away and will respawn.
Coalescence used there by Jaehong, and then Kuki obviously used that Earth Shatter. So now you're going to have, you know, Raucous getting his Coalescence rather quickly, and Linkser should be able to build out towards this Graviton Surge as well. Muma with this Earth Shatter, though, could be the difference here on this stage. Wakid with a Riptire as well. Didn't get to see that, as I know that could be huge coming up.
The Outlaws are conceding some ground here. Oh, I hear that in the background. It's a Riptide, but not Jake's. It's Wakid's this time. It doesn't even claim the mech of Coolman. Quite have enough damage there, about 400 if I'm not mistaken, so it won't fully take a
And he gets healed up right away because Raucous is using the Coalescence from a distance.
That's so big. Jake, of course, with two, found Wakid. Muma. Just giving a bit of a tickle over to Munchkin.
Muma holds on to this Earth Shatter, and you're going to have a Graviton Surge as well here for Houston. As you're going to have Zunba as well, getting that Graviton Surge coming up here. So it's going to be a battle. Who can land these bigger grabs here as Linkser connects with a few. That's going to be a sound barrier. Connects with every single member there of Seoul Dynasty.
Earth Shadow doesn't claim as many targets as would have been like, and now the Outlaws have put themselves in a bit of a dangerous situation. They get Graviton's in. Coolmat's in, Mech and taken low. Wakid just able to throw mine after grenade into the mix. And now Jake can only really stave off death for a couple scant seconds before the Outlaws are forced to respawn.
Do the Outlaws challenge this, Mitch? You're going to have Coalescence sound barrier probably in a Riptire here. I don't know if they can even make it back. It's going to be very, very close if they do.
Wakid will be able to see the Riptire coming here.
Oh, they want to challenge this. It's going to be an early Coalescence.
Okay, Kuki's low. This could be something. Here's the Riptide from Wakid now. Oh no, it gets two. Sometimes you got to be fed some of your hero medicine, Matt. That's the way life goes. Woke and Mooma are down, but Kuki had fallen, so it's 4v5.
Jake used his Riptire as well.
4v4, Toby's down. Coolmat being removed, and Munchkin gets desuited now. His own self-destruct. Linkser trying to break line of sight, but he didn't manage to do it. He actually popped up into the blast radius, and Zunba's so well charged up right now as the right clicks, claiming target after target. There it is. Seoul Dynasty get to the last stage here, but they're already behind the Outlaws in time. They've paid in blood for every single hard-fought meter they've gained.
Yeah, Zunba earns himself another Graviton Surge here, so get a chance to see if he can land one of these big grabs yet. Again, sound barrier or Boink. Look to see if that grab comes through. Muma tries to land that Earth Shatter, destroy any of the follow-up. Nice play. Puts Muma up in the sky. The sound barrier, though, keeps a few members from Houston up.
Yeah, can Houston really engage here? They lack Jake to really load out a lot of the damage. Well, I guess the Earth Shadow might try and give them a chance here, but again, you see the sound barrier used by Seoul Dynasty here. Raucous finds one, though, with the Coalescence. So Kuki's down again early in the fight. Wakid's Riptire again. You know he's going to find something with this one. Yeah, Muma's down. Although the pilot of that tire fell to a Biotic Orb earlier on in the piece here. It's quite a chaotic fight, as you should expect with Junkrats. Jake's going to be eating a Biotic Orb right now. Jaehong trying to finish off Raucous with the Biotic Grass. Jake can only stall right now. The Outlaws have to set up for one last fight here.
And they may have a chance. Linkser with a grab, Jake with a Riptire. It'll be Kuki with his Earth Shatter, Jaehong with Coalescence. They just need to get a touch. Houston, stay alive a little bit longer. They do have a self-destruct here.
Kuki looking for an Earth Shatter or a charge in to set it up. Self-destruct dropped in, but Zunba had a shield up. That's the Graviton Surge, but only Kuki's going to be caught on it right now, and Boink is just trying to get in position to move people around. Jake's Riptire connects, Kuki's missing. Munchkin desuited, now in Minute Eva form, and a Graviton Surge is used, but where's the follow-up going to be? It's going to be right there from Wakid and Zunba, laying into the Outlaws as they are tied together helplessly. And Seoul get the map finish. Between the Zarya and the Junkrat, 5 kills in the final fight to get Seoul home. Let's listen to Houston's comms as they came in on the attacking side.
D.Va nast above, careful.
They have no beat, Kill Zarya, Zarya 1,
Zarya, my car, dead. Regroup car.
Yo, I'm heals the car, guys, together.
Only Jungle Rat.
Junkrat.
D.Va now. Watch spawns. Just only Lucio, no beat. Woo! Let's go, boys.
Good job, boys.
All right, everybody relax.
Clean comms there from the Houston Outlaws, but I know the Zarya battle. We mentioned, Spree not in the game for the Houston Outlaws. He is their Zarya player. Lynx are taking up those duties. He's played quite well on Zarya, but I know the big difference was Graviton Surge kills. Zunba, they've gotten 10 kills off of his grabs. I believe Lynx are on the other side. Now that he's on Widow, kind of disappeared, but I believe it was over at 6, so he had 6 kills off of his grabs.
Do they bring Lynxer here instead of Spree just to give them flexibility?
I think that's why you keep it in. I think, well, let's put it this way. If you wanted to run Tracer, Lynxer would be the guy. If you wanted to run Widow, Lynxer would be the guy. Hanzo, it would be Lynxer, right? So you need him in the lineup. It kind of enables you to have so many other strategies other than just that triple tank with Zarya.
It's one thing to have a specialist and bring him in, but when you're going up against Soul, you might not know much about them. You might want to be more flexible and be able to adapt. That's why Lynxer comes in. We can see that Soul don't have any time left in the bank here, so all the Outlaws you need to do is get that first tick, and they're done.
And they'll go triple tank it again. Triple tank on both sides. So Lynxer was on Widow at the beginning, maybe just trying to get a pick. Now it's going to be all about trying to break these shields, putting down tons of damage with this Junkrat. Just kind of methodically working on to the point. Only a minute 30 on the clock, though, so always keep an eye on it. You see how many players he just knocks up in the sky with that mine.
It's like a bloody bouncy castle back there. Soul can't even stay on their feet, and Jake is really starting to feel punishing right now. The damage is there. 80% of his Riptide. Wakey forced to try and flank. Jake's still alive. Great response by Raucus to keep Jake up, but Jake eventually falls to the Deadeye, but Wakey's not in a great position right now. Coolmat, Buddy Blaster. Oh, it wouldn't be anyone else. Coolmat headshots and connects.
It's a grab from Zunba. Gets 3 players up in it. He's going to take out Muma and Boink as maybe Soul's able to hold on after that. What a play there by Zunba.
2 for 1 right click. He knew he was the one that had to go in, Matt, and get the damage. But the spawn advantage is there for the Outlaws. Riptide from Jake. How does that not go off in smoke? How does he not connect that? I guess the timing was trying to get behind the shield and just didn't quite work it out. Clever from Kuki to protect his team. Zunba still so charged up. He's close to yet another grab.
And Houston uses their sound barrier towards the end of that. See Zunba in a trap here. It's going to be Coalescence from the Houston Outlaws, and that's going to be a 2-man shatter there from Muma.
At the very least. And now it's going to be Boink to pressure in forward. He found Zunba. Muma pushing ahead now. Bionic Orb is in play. A lot of healing for the Outlaws, but that shield needed to be held up to prevent the damage coming in from that self-destruct. And Jake, the Riptire. Name a better pair. Oh, wait. It's going to be Munchkin desuited. Toby backing away and J-Ho now to walk in. This might just be it. It might just be time here for the Outlaws to take the lead. Wakey throws himself in the point bionic field, but it's not going to keep him alive. Too much hammer down. And that'll be it. The Houston Outlaws take map 3 of the series. Look at Amuma's face. You thought it was almost too easy, but we know better. We saw the struggles, the trials and tribulations of the Outlaws. What a brawl this is turning out to be.
Jake with 32 limbs, 25 final blows.
That's disgusting.
Playing that Junkrat, man, just absolutely filthy. Zunba had himself a game as well. 32 limbs, 9 final blows, 12 kills off the back of his grabs, as opposed to Lynxer's 4.
We should have known, seeing these two teams go head-to-head, that this would be another one for the ages. And so far it's delivered. Soul must win the next map to stay in the series, or the Outlaws will take it away. Map 4, just around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
You just gotta keep moving forward.
series to kick things off today. The Houston Outlaws are currently up 2-1 against the Seoul Dynasty. Love the game so far. Super close match after the Houston Outlaws took that first map. Flame, their GM, actually took to Twitter and shared a fun fact with us, saying that they never actually practiced Junkrat on Hanamura. Flame just kind of told Jack to pull it out if things get hairy. And having to hold against the Seoul Dynasty for 7 minutes, I think that does fit pretty well in that category. Now, I got to talk to the Seoul Dynasty about the J-Rat during halftime, and they actually had a good giggle. They told me that somehow it became an inside joke within their team that every time they have to play against Jake on Junkrat, they're screwed. So let's see if the guys from the Houston Outlaws can keep it up and bring home this series in map number 4. Please give it up for our casters, Uber and Mr. X.
So if the Seoul Dynasty encounter a Junkrat and their analysis constitutes of we're screwed, you can start to see exactly how this character is causing so many problems for so many teams, especially going up against Houston.
Look, it gave Seoul a lot of trouble in stage 1. Not surprised it's giving them a lot of trouble here in stage 2. There'll be subs that come in for both teams. Bonnie will come in for the Houston Outlaws for Boink, which tells you they probably want to run like a Widowmaker Mercy here. And Fleta in the game for Wakid here for what could potentially be the final map.
That looks to me like a Fleta-sized panic button, Matt. Seoul realizing now the series starting to slip away from them. However, guess what? Junkrat's not great on every map. He's definitely not great on Gibraltar.
Is that one of them?
No, he's not stellar here.
I mean, you could run like, we were talking a little bit during the break, you could run like we used to see the Dallas Fuel when they were, I know, Team Envious run, a solo healing Ana with a Sombra on, I know, Gibraltar on the defense here at the start. Maybe you see, Raucus is a pretty good Sombra. I think, though, you probably will see Linkser play Widowmaker, you'll see Bonnie play Mercy. That'll be the setup from this team. You probably have Raucus on that Zen. It's just what does Seoul do with Fleta in the game? Obviously, he can play so many different heroes. Potentially, he stays on Genji, tries to pressure out Linkser. You can try and do that 1v1 Widow battle if you want to take it. But Linkser, I think, the best counter Widow sniper in the Overwatch League.
Counter Widow.
Yeah.
And if memory serves, this map has been quite good for the Seoul Dynasty over the course of the season.
Well, they were undefeated in it up until the match against New York. You remember the one that we casted, and then New York ends up beating them on it. And I believe they lose it to London as well. So, they've had a rough go. Obviously, I say rough go when they lose to New York and London. I mean,
well, you're playing in the same week. I'll definitely call that a rough go. Seoul, I mean, how do you prepare for both of those two teams, who, by the way, are very opposite in their play style? How do you prepare for them both in the same week? Hot tip, you don't. You just prepare for one and hope for the best against the second. The Houston Outlaws, though, there's no doubt they prepared. But again, thinking back to Flame's tweet, it's a matter of, hey, you know what? If stuff goes south for the winner, take it down under.
Yeah, and I don't know whose Twitter account that is. They don't even follow Flame. That's messed up. You gotta follow.
That's mad BM.
Gotta follow that man.
Get all your updates on his dog gym routine at 2 a.m.
He's a great dog. I don't know why you're going to the gym at 2 a.m.
Oh, it's the life of a coach. He's
so
busy,
many
man.
better things you can do at 2 a.m. Like just keep playing more video games.
That's what he looks like he does, and you look like you do, big fella. Let's jump in.
It's entirely accurate. There's nothing factually incorrect about that statement.
The Outlaws are on the attacking side, and they will pressure head first. So Linkser on the Widowmaker. Seoul are not responding, so Linkser will be looking for another smug purple lady in the distance and just won't see one. Unless he comes by a mirror.
They're going to need to protect him pretty heavily, though, with Fleta on Genji. And then, obviously, Kuki will be able to dive him, and then Munchkin can kind of, follow around that backside, pick up some kills.
Hoping to tempt Fleta into the open without Reflect, but it's very unlikely that Fleta, a player who's very measured in his approach, is going to be taking such a risk. Cormac goes in for a drive-by here, tries to provoke some aggression himself.
A slight benefit for Jake here is that there's no Lucio for Seoul Dynasty, so Toby not really able to protect Jaehong in the back, right? As well as, Lucio would potentially, booping a Tracer back, making their lives a little bit more troublesome.
Well, now there we see Cormac forced to peel back and deal with Kuki, but they actually managed to find him. Great response from Cormac. An excellent peeling display. And now, up on the point, he might be forced to use the self-destruct. This will keep Seoul inside the server room for a little bit longer for the most part, though.
They use Nano Boost on the Zumba to keep him up. Just because you had already lost Kuki, he's going to use his self-destruct to get back in his match.
That pulse bomb Jay did not connect on Zumba as he resuited. Or perhaps it is, in fact, the mech being as low as it is. It doesn't say stuck, though. I think if you're sort of resuited. Hard to say. Either way, Zunba got resuited, but didn't have a lot of HP to start with. The bomb didn't catch a kill.
And Bonnie ends up using his Valkyrie here as, you know, the remaining members of Houston fall. As we do have a pause. We'll let you guys know what's going on.
Jake's, no, my pulse bomb didn't work, Blizzard. What's up with that?
Let's just restart it. Let's just get everybody back to the lobby
straight
again.
back to the start?
Yeah, straight back to the start. Why not?
So as it stands, the payload's fairly close to that first checkpoint, so I feel like Houston would probably like to continue.
They probably would.
But Banny just popped a Valkyrie.
Well, he had used a Valkyrie, and then I believe Muma actually dies during it, and Jake dies trying to get out.
Restart it. Roll it back.
They're just trying to get out now. You do have Raucus getting close to Transcendence, 97%. Jaehong already has his. Toby has worked his way all the way up to another nano boost as well.
So this is a situation. We'll tell you what the delay is when we're told. We're probably still waiting down. Looks like it might be something technical. Once we know, we don't quite know yet as well. So we can see now you're playing this. There you go. We don't know why it happened, but we can tell you it's over. How about that?
Yes. But
Will that be enough to appease you?
It should, because now you get to go back to the game instead of staring at us. Raucus has that Transcendence, like I mentioned. If Jaehong with a Transcendence on the other side, you need this Transcendence because Fleta has this Dragon Blade to use.
So Soul, while it looks as if they've been pushed in a bit, this is actually a good position for them. They're not feeling bad at all. Kuki gets a nano boost and force of the Transcendence, and Fleta is licking his lips because he knows he will be able to jump in with the Dragon Blade and wreak all kinds of havoc now after Raucus has been forced to use his healing ultimate.
Yeah, they're not able to capitalize on that Jake kill onto Munchkin, right? So, there's a big kill. You don't have a Mercy, so you can't res him back up. Houston has to know this is a huge window of opportunity here.
Late Transcendence here. Kuki again going for the backline. Gets stopped. Matt was in his way. A lot of damage dealt to the Primal Rage Winston. Now Matt comes forward. You can see that, Mumo there does eventually go down.
He gets res right out though.
But Coolmac created the space, for Banny to be able to get that big resurrect, so that's huge. Munchkin and Jake now zipping in over the points. Dragon Blade for Fleta is going to go for it now. He's down at 28 HP. Can he survive this? Looking for Raucus, who's been pocketed. 8. Give him a kick. Just hit him. Oh, no one can shut him down. 8 HP. 3 kills. Okay.
When he pops the blade, he has like 30 HP. We were in that free cam, and you can see as soon as he pulls the blade out, he had like 2 bars. I was like, what is he doing
Must
here?
have got meleeed or something like that by Raucus. One more would have done the job, but perhaps just wasn't possible. So Fleta, talk about living on the edge there. Okay.
It's so risky, but if there was anybody you kind of trust to pull something like that off, it would be Fleta.
It seemed, I just thought he was going to get completely shut down there. Banny was pocketing Raucus the entire time. So, it all works out then for Soul. They baited the Transcendence way earlier on. And then Fleta dies, but still comes back with the Dragon Blade.
So here's the nano boost on the Kuki, right? Now you're going to have Bounty pop that Valkyrie right away. You're going to get a Transcendence here from Raucus. Jake needs to make something happen with this pulse bomb.
Raucus doesn't want to die in the next 5 seconds, and then he'll probably have his ultimate. Munchkin down.
Another big kill from Jake on Munchkin.
Not the hugest pick, though, in terms of this fight. Fleta's still hunting. He always has another Dragon Blade. Raucus needs to be careful. Raucus needs to have his Transcendence for this next fight. He cannot die here. He must stay alive. And Fleta now is going to get pushed. Nice work by Linkser. He comes forward. A lot of the Houston Outlaws have been cut down, but Raucus gets his Transcendence after all. And now Linkser kills Munchkin. Headshot there. Transcendence won't save you from that one as a Tracer. Nothing you can do.
The Transcendence allows him to bring Jake back into the fight, though, right? You use the Transcendence to bring Bonnie up. They get that res off. Now you're back at full strength.
Jake performing well so far in this attacking Tracer, man. It's been good. The Outlaws cut it a little bit fine for their liking. I'm sure Flame's out in the back having palpitations, but they do get that first checkpoint.
Link's trying to push
Okay.
They do get Fleta. But Fleta has that blade for the next fight. They'll have a nano blade if they want to use it.
So now we'll rappel up and just watch the spawn door and make sure that Soul is... And Soul will notice. Soul will expect... Okay, we know what Lynx is going to be watching. So Soul all have to go from the lower levels, which kind of means that they sacrifice the chance to get high ground initially. They've got to sort of move out on the low ground. That's why they need to go as a unit. Payload moving. Lynx just looking like Tarzan out here. Sets up on the right-hand side. Big damage. Forces the Primal Rage before Kuki even got to him. And now it's going to be Fleta with a Dragon Blade. This guy just nailing them one after another. Again, less than 10 HP. Eventually he goes down, but not before Linkser is removed. And Houston, the ground to a halt.
It's going to be that nano boost plus Dragon Blade. Not much you can do about it. from the Houston Outlaws side. They know that Jake is behind them still here. Jake trying to battle out Jaehong. He's going to get pushed out by Munchkin.
Jake, how are you going to sneak into their house at 4 a.m. if they know you're there, mate? It's not how this works.
You're not going to be able to. Well, while that happens, actually, Linkser is able to take out Toby. So you'll actually take that trade if you're Houston, right? I mean, you get there on out of the equation, your Tracer's going to get back rather quickly.
Coolmat looks like he engaged there just to try and peel a little bit for Bunny. I think it was being pressured down by Kuki, who's low. Munchkin could just be a cheeky little pop out with a pulse bomb, but the corner is checked by the Outlaws. They do see Munchkin waiting. It may not matter though. Out. See a Raucous Transcendence. No, it's forced out. Let's see if we can get some value out of that for the side of the Houston Outlaws. The timing is decent for a big trans here. Although Coolmat could really use some of that healing right now. He's being pocketed, now has to go for the self-destruct. Jake drops a bomb. Kuki's down. Flatter also being removed. And Toby tries to go for the res. He does bring Kuki back, but he has to give his life up in the process.
Kuki's going to try and put some pressure on Linkser, but needs to get back to the payload. Jake will take Kuki out yet again. Got him with a pulse bomb the first time. Then took out Fleta.
This is good. Look at his back. Look at this back spawn.
Yeah.
Brutal.
They got Fleta as well, as he had to basically push back down on the payload. Just a little punch there from Jake. Pushing Zumba off the side.
Oh, Jake got debated. No, Zumba just boosted up.
Oh, he just boosted away.
I mean, somehow Raucous got a really long Discord orb on Zumba, so Zumba was never going to win that fight. That's Munchkin down, no. Yeah, Zumba with the top tier debate on Jake.
You know, it's so much talk with the Houston Outlaws, just like their Tracer play, right? I feel like that's the only thing I've heard over the last few weeks. Right now,
so bored of it.
Jake's 15 and, well, I was going to say 15 and 3. 15 and 4, right? Make it 16 and 4, 9 final blows to Munchkin, who's 8 of limbs, only 4 final blows, 5 deaths. So Jake playing very good on Tracer here.
Oh, thread the needle, Linkser. Jaehong is down. That's really scary, actually, for the Dynasty. Now the tanks from the Outlaws can get real ham, real aggressive. There's no Discord orb available. You can see Jake with a strafing run across the doorway. Instant recall, and Munchkin just appears in the path of the next bullet that Linkser sent in his direction. He's almost predicting it by now. Transcendence. Linkser backing away. The Dragon Blade for him. Flatter takes 80 damage from a body shot, and now he's looking for more. Hasn't got Linkser yet though, and Coolmat in the meantime gets a big DC on Zumba. Linkser, patient as ever, waits for the reflect to finish. Oh, Flatter, you've met your better! Linkser connects, headshot, and Jaehong finally chimes in to respond.
They have to use their blade, and they use Primal Rage to go all the way to try and get Linkser in the back. And it doesn't even work. Raucous goes back there with Transcendence. Then it's Bonnie, the Valkyrie, able to keep some players alive.
Jake just working around the point. You see this guy very twitchy, very flicky. Hard to watch sometimes. You can see his mind's working 100 miles an hour to try and come up with the right solution. And Linkser's got through again. He just gets Flatter and Munchkin, puts them all in his backpack, and says, come on, Outlaws, we're going for a ride. Now Zumba challenges, just a one at a time now. Seoul Dynasty in full stall mode. The heads are rolling, and Linkser is delivering. We're in overtime. The Outlaws do need to get this done, and they do! Unbelievable Widowmaker performance from Linkser. 14 final blows. I'd say about half of them are happening in the last minute. What is that?
50% scoped accuracy, 16% crit hits. Just, yeah, when he plays like that on Widowmaker, like, what do you do? I'm surprised we never saw Fleta switch to Widowmaker a little bit earlier until the end, but it just seems like things were just getting so out of control that there was not a real great opportunity for him to. I mean, he uses that Dragon Blade, right? You think that's going to be the play. And he uses the Dragon Blade, right? Raucous drops down with Transcendence. Kuki uses Primal as well. But we didn't actually catch is Kuki actually knocks both supports from Houston all the way back to the Mega Health Pack around the corner. And Bonnie is just healing up Raucous, and Raucous obviously healing up Bonnie. And they're just putting like Orbs of Discord into him and just chunking him down. That Kuki was never able to get either of them. And then he has to jump all the way back in the fight weak, and the rest of his team's already dead.
Pretty much for the entire stage of that map, the Seoul Dynasty were kind of staggered because they got the bad split spawn, right? They spawned just outside of the shuttle room, and then it was quite clear to see that Seoul weren't able to coordinate themselves enough to remove Linkser. So Linkser getting all them headshots and frags. You notice him, by the way, he's not really being threatened a whole lot. I mean, sure, Kuki's going to jump at him. Linkser just walks off the edge, then rappels back up and says, okay, your move, bro.
What I like today from Houston, Mitch, is they've committed to compositions that work for them, and compositions that kind of like demand almost like a mirror, right? Because when you run the Widowmaker and you're that good and you're shutting down the dive with the Genji from the other team, what do you have to do? You have to pull out a Widowmaker of your own. What does that force Toby to do? He has to play Mercy now. So this kind of gets the game back into where Houston feels a little bit more comfortable.
And when you're the best anti-Widow by statistics
that's what I'm saying,
in the Overwatch League, you are controlling and manipulating your opponents to play into your hands.
It's like the same thing on King's Row, where they had to switch Wakid over to Junkrat and they had to play the triple tank. And it's like, that's what Houston wants to play. That's what they're good at. When they force other teams to do that, they do it better.
Incredibly good when they are the ones that dictate the pace of the game.
It's a team that shouldn't, kind of like conform to the meta just because it's everyone's playing it. They should play what they do well and try and force that playstyle on other teams. Jake's hiding over here in the rock.
That's sneaky. Look, you'd normally slide off the map if you went down that low. So let's see what Jake is flanking very long and very wide for Jaehong here. Kind of bails out of that engagement fairly early, reminding Jaehong that he's there, but I don't think Jaehong minds too much. He now goes and joins the rest of Seoul. So Jake will be looking for Jaehong for a couple seconds because he didn't notice the Zenyatta. He didn't see him run off to the rest of the team.
I would love to show you guys where Jake is right now. This is such a long flank that he's going on. Doesn't matter though, as Linkzr takes out Fleta and Jaehong. He is feeling it right now.
Sitting in the casting room, clapping like a schoolgirl. It's really uncomfortable. But Linkzr is just delivering right now. Not only finding Jaehong, but also...
I would say, I know we talked, remember when you said we were talking to Baby Bay earlier this morning?
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of joking around with him because he comes in Game 5 the other day against Florida, and he's playing Widowmaker against Logix, who's been playing Widowmaker like all day. It's like, that is so difficult to do.
Cold, playing one of the most aim-intensive heroes in the game.
And forced to out-aim somebody who was just destroying. Like, what is that?
Oh, Linkzr.
But like if you come in cold, right? Obviously you're in the back, like warming up, shooting bots. It's not the same as being in a game, right? You go in and play against a guy who's already been playing for the last 3 maps and has been playing this well. It's so difficult to get anything done.
And this is a guy, by the way, so terrifying in game. I can't even give him a hug anymore because last time I almost cracked his rib. What is this? Linkzr now backing right up. A barrier for Kuki. Chewed up very quickly, and Jake, he's on that wide flank. Forced into an early recall though, and it's likely Munchkin will be pursuing him, so he gets out quickly.
All Jake has to do is be a nuisance, right? Just be a little bit of a distraction, open up some windows of opportunity for Linkzr.
Big hit on Kuki there. He's gonna force Toby to remain with the Winston. Kuki drops onto the mega health pack and takes that, and Linkzr already rotating around. You see, he knows, he sees what's happening. Muma found Fleta, so there's no counter Widow.
Everybody pushed into the server room except Fleta there.
Fleta got caught out. Well spotted by Muma to see that he was isolated. Although Fleta will spawn back in, Linkzr will be in trouble. Ooh, okay. Transcendence coming out. You can just see how much the Outlaws value having that Widowmaker alive. Jake, big jewel here. The Orb of Harmony was on Munchkin, so it will be a pretty nasty one to try and win out. Gets the healing from Bunny though. Pulse bomb's there. Toby, can he flick his way with high sensitivity out of this one? We'll have to see. Self-destruct is also going to go in by Soul in the main area. No one claimed by that, but the payload's still moving. So the Outlaws do have to get aggressive now. And Jaehong down to half HP on the payload. Jake wants some more, but it's going to be the defense matrix in front of him. That was Zunda, of course, to the rescue. Jake, no matter where he goes, he's being followed here by supports or tanks. He needs to make an impact. Pulse bomb there to finish off Kuki. May not have been necessarily needed, but he was securing the kill nonetheless.
You do get a res on the cool mat. You see the pressure they're putting on Linkzr. They finally deal with him up on that high ground. Muma did force out that Transcendence, though, with that Primal Rage. And whoa, Jake, it looked like he was looking behind him. Maybe he thought he was near the health pack there, as now he's going to get his recall.
Okay, I've got motion sickness. Oh, that's too much! Muma jumps in and finds Jaehong no. So Jake combines, but in doing so, they give up the point. They will win the fight here for the time being, but they're going to have to back away because the Seoul Dynasty spawn very close. Munchkin, look at this. He refuses to stop. Recalls. Pushing that payload.
He did have Raucus use Transcendence there towards the end, potentially thinking they could have contested that payload for a little bit longer. Linkzr just trying to find Munchkin right behind the payload. You see, he's just being pocketed by Bonnie, whether it's healing, whether it's damage. That's why we say he's the best counter sniper in the game, man.
Oh my god, he takes a hit, and even that's not enough to make him respect Fleta. Slays a slap down. And now he'll push forward here as well. An early pick here for Linkzr will be huge. You can always get out. He has a lot of protection. Back to the shuttle now, and it'll allow his front line just to try and hold the door for a bit, so to speak. 2 minutes and 9 seconds for Seoul here, so not terrible time. The payload's not moving right now, though, when Seoul need to win a clean fight here to start to continue to make progress. Jake Pulse bomb here would be big. Jaehong doesn't need it. Nice combination there with Cool Mat. Hammer and anvil style stuff. Toby's forced to run away. Now Jake spots Munchkin, fancies the duel, takes the health pack away from him. Toby just gets flattened. You just see Cormac flying in from God knows where. Pulse bomb for Jake doesn't quite connect, but he still gets kooky.
And Linkser takes out Fleta, who switches over to Genji. Fleta dives all the way back. Deep on him, Bonnie uses Valkyrie to keep Linkser up. Just shows you the type of value. So this is Seoul going back to what they do the best, right? Now they're going back to Toby on Lucio. They're going to have Fleta play Genji. They're going to go with just a straight dive here. This is, kind of a response to the fact that they didn't feel like that the Widowmaker Mercy comp was working for them. They're going to go back to what they do the best, see if they can break this Widowmaker setup.
It's all about closing the gap as quickly and efficiently as possible. Use that speed boost. Linkser sees one tank, shoots it, sees a second, shoots that one as well. Zunba, low HP. Jaehong's being jumped on right now, and I believe he's forced his Transcendence. Nice job. I believe that was Muma forcing out the Zen Ultimate. Beautiful play. And now he might just have Jaehong all to himself, or perhaps he fancies himself a little bit of Toby. Not much to be done for Toby, but Bunny goes to a Pulse Bomb. 2 for 2 so far in this fight. Both Toby and Jaehong are down. The Outlaws still had a support for a moment, and Kuki takes that away from them as well.
You do have a self-destruct here if you want to use it from Cool Matt. He will opt not to use it. As Muma stays alive, he does get out of this fight. He's on the top of the ship, so he'll be the one that comes down, tries to get a touch on the payload.
No primal for him.
No.
He time it well, he does. He gets down there with a bubble.
Jake there.
He's actually going to get pocketed. Jake's on the point. This isn't terrible at all. Dragon Blade for Fleta in case he gets a little bit frustrated. If he forces Dragon Blade out of Fleta, that's big right now for the Outlaws. Maze him. Oh, this is going to be a bit of fun. Fleta trying to jump around, but he's getting frozen solid. It's a Genji-sicle. That's not a word, but Felix is going to use his ice block. Genji-sicle? Nah.
Listen,
nah, bro.
Half the time you say stuff, I don't understand it.
Well, see, the thing is, most of the time...
I was just going to let that one go.
Most of the time, they're actually Oxford-approved words. That's not. That's definitely not. Yeah, all right, moving on.
Yeah, that happened.
A minute and 20 on the clock here for Seoul to finish off, and really might come down to the wire. The Outlaws have to set up here.
This is one of the harder, stretches in just terms of maps in general, right? B to C on Gibraltar, making it around this corner. We'll have Fleta play Widowmaker yet again. Linkser will go back to Widowmaker after his brief foray there on May. This corner is very dangerous. Zunba launches in a self-destruct.
Oh, gets 2!
I was going to say just trying to buy them some space, but it connects with 2 players there.
That may have just broken the Houston Outlaws back. I don't know if you can come back from that one. They lost the Widowmaker and this in the other. That's a nightmare. They had this in the bag. Essentially, Houston could have held it. Now they're going to be into full stall, and Kuki now knows what he has to do. Be the nightclub bouncer. Move up to the doorway. Zunba's on the right-hand side. Coolmat drops onto the point, but has no protection against Fleta, who's set up so comfortably here. Bunny trying to take matters into his own hands, as well as the Caduceus Blaster. Does at least help to force Fleta off the high ground, but not for Sound Barrier being committed to the fight. Although Muma really wants the Purple Lady.
Yeah, Muma's trying to get Fleta out of this fight. He's going to do it. The issue is the rest of his team struggling on the payload, has to get back.
Yeah, he's getting tight. Coolmat trying to stick close to the payload. Jake recalls. Lynx is low on HP. Self-destruct though, that could be the answer. Gonna force positioning out of Zunba. Toby's also there. 3 seconds left. This might have gone against Seoul Dynasty. They had an opportunity, but they might have just blown it over time. They won't get back to the point, and Houston will take the series. What a turnaround.
Wow.
They go seconds from almost throwing it away, losing 2 players to the self-destruct, and now they take the series off of Seoul. And sometimes it wasn't even close. Sometimes it was nitty-gritty and grindy Overwatch.
And Munchkin and Fleta combined for 22 final blows. Linkser matches that on his own. Jake contributes 17 final blows as well. Jake, the highest amount of elims in the lobby at 35. He had himself a very good series, whether it's the Junkrat or Tracer. As man, Seoul Dynasty, they come in today. Obviously, they're in control of their own destiny in terms of the playoffs. And the Houston Outlaws take that away from them.
That is how you play spoiler, should I say. For the second time, the Seoul Dynasty lose a very important match in the last week of a stage. And that, by the way, is the only time you're going to see Coolmat with less than pristine hair, so soak it in. But what a series this was. Houston back to what works for them, back to basics, and it is beautifully executed. Love to see it. We'll be back with the desk in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
What's up, everybody? The Houston Outlaws just pulled out the victory, 3-1 over the Seoul Dynasty, and I'm joined by my man Jake, who just had an amazing game. Jake, look, man, you guys, you went into this matchup after losing a 5-mapper against Seoul Dynasty. So tell me, what was the game plan going in this time?
You know, we knew that we'd had a tough stage so far. You know, not everything went our way. We felt like we'd, made a lot of mistakes. Also, of course, learned a lot of lessons. So I think today felt like our opportunity to end the stage on a high note. You know, we knew we couldn't make playoffs, but we really were just fearless. You know, we nothing to lose. So we were like, let's just be flexible. Let's not, over rely on the strats we practice. Let's just be ready to adapt. And I think that adaptation is really what brought the win for us today.
Is that the main thing that you learned throughout this stage? Because it's been a roller coaster ride for you guys. Was that the main thing? What's been the most important thing that you feel you guys have learned through all this adversity?
When I'm playing Tracer, distract them for Linkser.
Yo, we need to dead these Tracer talks. Is it time to dead the Tracer talks? Do you feel like you're still learning?
I still think I'm like one of the weakest players in the league on the character, at least people who are actually playing it. But I think for me, getting better at Tracer has been more about how do I enable my teammates, I know that I'm not gonna be as good as people have practiced for years in just like, a month of practice time. So I have to figure out a way to be successful that is about enabling Muma's dives, distracting for Linksters who can pop the heads. I'm just trying to play a utility role so my team can shine. And I think, they really showed up today. They showed why that strategy is even viable, especially Linkser. Got to give it to him on Gibraltar.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. He was popping off. All right, so let's talk about a character you are good at, Junkrat. You kind of threw that one into the mix. Tell me a little bit about the thinking about throwing Junkrat out there.
So it all started on Hanamura second. Tyrong mentioned before the game, just if you're feeling it, go Junkrat to defend second. And we had never once tried that. We had never practiced it or had any idea how it would really work. But I just was like, you know what? We lost first, fast. We're going to need something crazy to get the full hold here. And, Junkrat's just the ticket.
Yeah, man, it worked out. You guys had Seoul Dynasty shook. Everybody, give it up for the Houston Outlaws with the 3-1 victory. And all right, guys, to break down this match, we're going to send it over to Puckett at the desk.
Thank you, Malik, and pardon my language, but shit just got real. That win by Houston is going to change everything up for the rest of the week. Let's start with our Stage 2 standings. Now, with Houston taking out this Seoul Dynasty squad, it opens the doors for squads like Philadelphia. Boston still in the running here, guys. Major impact here that will be felt across the next 3 days. When you look at the standings right now, who's in the mix here, Sideshow? Who do you think is the favorite to lock in a top 3 spot?
I think it's got to be Philadelphia Fusion. They're going up against the LA Valiant later on this week. If they win at all, even if they win 3-2, the narrowest possible victory, Seoul cannot catch them in terms of map differential. So it's looking so dire right now for Seoul Dynasty. They had an opportunity to lock it up. They had winnable games this week, and they weren't able to close it out. Again, it looks like they are missing the stage title matches.
And to lose in a 3-1, that hurts that map count so much that they desperately needed. They were looking for a win. They were hoping for a 4-0. They got neither of those. Let's take a look at why they didn't get the win, and it starts on King's Row. As we looked at game number 3, I was excited. We knew we were going to see a whole lot of tanks. We always do. But something I was talking about with Reinforce, he said going back in Seoul's history, all the way back to the Lunatic High days, they didn't like running triple tank. Instead, they went with dive comps most of the time. What did we see from them this time around against Houston?
Yeah, they still tried to run these tank compositions, but it felt like they were out of their depth a little bit when it came to it. In the duels, when it came to the Reinhardts, Muma was winning it out most of the time. The real shining star, again, for me on Seoul, and he never really disappoints, has got to be Zumba, but unfortunately, he couldn't quite carry hard enough. Now, an interesting statistic here on this particular map is Muma in particular. I mean, I've got to hand it to the guy. He was almost like, honestly, it was such a toss-up for the MVP we were going to choose here. Muma was charging his Earth Shatters 33% faster than the average sort of charge rate on his Earth Shatters. And that's mainly a testament to how aggressive he was playing with the rest of his team. Diving in there, charging in, he had the heals from the backup from the rest of his team, particularly as well. And I think it caught, honestly, Seoul off guard a little bit because they like to play a little bit more passive and patient.
What was the timing on those Earth Shatters? You said this stat earlier before we were live. How fast is this guy charging up on King's Row?
It was ridiculous. 69.5 seconds was his charge rate. The average is 105 seconds. 33% faster than average. It's nuts.
Yeah. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that both teams are running triple tank and they're both just kind of mashing heads with each other all the time. Across the board, we saw ultimates being charged much much faster, but it was the standout players that were making the most of it. Muma, Zunba, these guys were getting massive use out of their ults. And when it came down to the ultimate fights, I was so impressed at how Outlaws are using the Junkrat Tire and Cormat's Diva in particular, so that whenever there's an Earth Shatter or a Graviton, they're zoning them out. They can't get any value, because if they move forward to try and take advantage of that, they'll get blown up by a Tire or blown up by a self-destruct. Houston Outlaws are so practiced on King's Row running tanks.
Now, on the other side, we got to look at Seoul, right? They lost this match, but they are not out of the running yet for the playoffs. They can still get in. They just need some other teams ahead of them to lose. If they're going to get into the playoffs, if they're going to play King's Row in the future, what's the big takeaway from today? What do you need to fix moving forward? Because I assume you'll be switching up the lineup.
Yeah, in my opinion, you go back to what NYXL have been running, and as Reinforced was saying, back to this dive composition. NYXL are almost unbeaten on King's Row. In fact, I think they are unbeaten, and they've never run Reinhardt. You don't have to run tanky compositions on King's Row. You can get a lot of value out of running dive. You slow them down because the big death ball of tank compositions can't find anybody to run after because you're so mobile. I'd love to see Seoul Dynasty try that kind of composition instead.
All right, that was game 3. Now we take it to Gibraltar. It's match point for the Houston Outlaws, but it's Seoul who's striking first. Fleta, so little health, and he gets so much done with this Dragon Blade to start things off on defense.
Yeah, they subbed him in, I think, to really try and keep them in check, because, I mean, again, it was panic mode for Seoul Dynasty. They were not expecting, I think, Houston to really turn up like they did. Obviously, I was, again, just going to put that in there. I did predict them once again to win. No lie, no shock.
Genius.
Again.
Your back is going to be sore from all your own pads.
Of course. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Fleta was not enough to keep them in check. Linksa was really the shining star for Houston Outlaws. The guy had a ridiculous performance on this map.
Linksa was just an absolute beast mode. I think he's quite a confidence player. Early on in his career, you know, he had some poor performances at big LAN events like this, but now he's just a god.
And this is the old Linksa that we're seeing, right? I said it so many times, like, we've been following this guy in the European Overwatch scene for so long, and this was old Linksa, Contenders Finals Linksa. This guy was crazy. I mean, he was absolutely ridiculous, and this is what we love to see. Like, I said it so many times when I'm talking about Linksa, right? This guy, when he's turning up, when he's playing at peak performance, it is ridiculous. It's disgusting, and he puts everyone in check.
Speaking of peak performance, he did enough in this series to earn our Player of the Match, sponsored by Omen by HP, an honor that he has taken multiple times today. Some of his best we have seen yet, though, and it all started map 1 with the Tracer of all heroes.
Yes, and I love the fact that he is picking up the Tracer for the team now. I feel like Houston Outlaws, they needed one person to commit to the Tracer. They can't just sign a random Tracer. That doesn't really fix the issues that they were having. But having now dedicated Linksa to that role, and Jake, when it happened later, when Linksa moved over to Widowmaker, they have the ability to be able to sync up with Muma's dives and still be able to unleash Linksa on these other hit scan heroes.
Yeah, and looking at that now, 9 final blows on Fleta alone. Seoul Dynasty, they subbed in Fleta to try and keep Linksa in check, and he just absolutely walked all over their plans on the Widowmaker, putting up unreal numbers across the board.
Incredible stuff. You sub Fleta in, Linksa shuts them down single-handedly. Incredible stuff from the Houston Outlaws across the board, and honestly, if you've been watching them through Stage 2, this is the way you wanted your team to finish, because now you're coming into Stage 3 with some confidence. We got a whole bunch of time off now for this squad to prepare. I think they're going to be a threat in Stage 3, at least if they keep playing the way Linksa did today. Boys, final thoughts on our first match. It's just the first of 3 matches on the day.
It has made everything else wild. The whole of the rest of the week now is blown wide open. We thought there was going to be a top 3, that they were going to lock it down really early on. Now, anybody's game.
Yeah, I got to agree with that all around. Like, the playoffs now are up in the air. Who knows what's going to be happening? I'm particularly impressed with Jake's attitude as well. You know, we saw in his interview there, he recognizes that his Tracer isn't his strongest roles, but he makes it work for his team regardless.
All right, show some love on social media. Make sure you're following at Overwatch League. That is going to do it for our first match of the day. When we come back, though, it is the #1 team in the league, the New York XL, trying to look up their spot in the title matches as they take on the Dallas Fuel. We'll be right back.